Are we? Can the whole internet see me right now?
Maybe.
I can't.
Possibly.
This is ridiculous. I love it. We're playing Avatar.
Avatar Legends, yes. So hello everyone, and I'm hoping that I can be heard.
Let's check.
Yeah, yeah, I should be good.
Yes, we can hear you. Can everyone hear us?
I think so.
Yeah, we are
Hopefully.
seen, we are heard, we are here. Welcome everyone to Atelier 20 presents Avatar Legends, a learn and play session where four friends join together to tell a story of mythic proportion in the form of Avatar Legends. So, I am your resident tale weaver, Omar, and these amazing people you see in these cool circles around me are going to be our players, but we all will be telling this amazing story together. So, I'm going to start off by introducing everyone. So, first and foremost, our special guests, all the way from across the pond, and fabulous friend of Atel D20s, I would like to introduce the amazing and talented Declan. Hello, Declan.
Oh, Omar, you oversold that so much.
Undersold, if anything.
Just a weirdo from Ireland.
Oh, no, we love weirdos. We are all about the weird here. But it's great to have you on. Thank you so much for coming.
No, thank you so much for asking me. I'm so excited to play this and learn it. I was reading the rules and it is straightforward ish. But I've never done a is it PBTA
Yeah.
game before. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to throw myself into this.
Awesome. Yes. And this is probably so I played it twice and read it several times. So it'll be sort of a learn from myself as well. But it's super simple. I love the power by the apocalypse mechanic. Anyone can jump into, and it's really heavy on roleplay. And as you know, here at ATOD, we love the roleplay. But awesome. Thank you so much. And of course, over at the bottom of me, we have our very own Zektown who's joining us. Hi, Zeki. How's it going?
Oh, just living out my childhood dreams and playing an Avatar tabletop game.
Yes, you and me both.
Oh my gosh, I've watched the original series like so many times growing up. From like when it came out, I think I was in like middle school or something. It came out a while ago, but uh, you know, exciting times. Like I think Korra had been like revived when I was in college. Like I watched everything again. So yeah, just excited to jump into this game.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, our very own amazing Travis, aka Zendark. Almost says Zendark, aka Travis, but doesn't like it matters. But yes, our very amazing Travis. How are you doing today, Trav?
Thank you so much. Yes, well, I am one. Me and Zendark are one and the same, and we are very well. I'm having those same feelings as Zeki. I grew up on Avatar Aang, and I absolutely like role played being and a bender. So now that there's rules and like a mechanic and a way to do it, and I can hang out with my friends, I'm super excited, and I can't wait to dive in to today with everyone.
Awesome. So today, the purpose of today is the first half an hour, 45 minutes or so, we're going to go ahead and just go through the mechanics. I have this really pretty book right in front of me that we're going to be going through really quick, going through the mechanics. This is also hosted in Fantasy Grounds. As you know, we're a Fantasy Ground affiliate. We love the virtual tabletop system, so you'll be seeing some of the character sheets. They're not really called characters, they're called playbooks, and popping up, as well as down below to the bottom left of the screen, you'll see everyone's roles appear there as well. But with that being said, why don't we just dive right into how to play the Powered by the Apocalypse game, Avatar Legends? So, Unlike other role-playing games, Powered by Positive, and specifically Avatar Legends, is more told as a collective storytelling experience. It's not just the GM creating the story for you to follow. Everyone has a say, and just the GM has the final say on what is kind of staple. We create something called the fiction. I just love saying that. The fiction is the story that we're telling. And we go ahead and go through different scenes, and for the most part we are painting the scenes that we want, and the object or the things that change depend upon the roles that we make. And there are several different roles, some of them that every character has, others that only certain one has, depending. We're also going to create the setting and the scenario, as well as the scope during this. So why don't we begin with that? So first of all, there's something called the conversation. The conversation is where you, the players, as well as myself, as the GM, go around and we talk and we chat and we build the world that we wish to present, we wish to play in. That is, and everything is inhabited in the conversation. Now, the fiction is the actual storytelling. That's the canon that we're creating. So we want to stay as true to the fiction as possible. And Avatar Legends really loves it when you make mistakes, in the sense of you're like, oh no, I forgot to activate this ability. No, you didn't forget it. Bend the fiction to explain why you forgot to use that ability, and kind of draw the story about from there, because it makes a more exciting story. If ever there was a time when it was obvious your character you said you wanted to plant a bunch of caltrips or some type of traps there, and you just completely forgot to say because we went too fast, we'll do something that I like to incorporate called a flashback, where we're going to go back and say, oh yeah, remember when and then we'll actually play the flashback, like anime style. We're going to role play through the flashback, and then the result of that flashback will tell us how good the traps you set were. So maybe if you roll poorly in the flashback, it's like what you didn't realize that you didn't space the traps well enough, or something to that case. But that all is incorporated with framing the scene. So that's how we kind of frame the scene together. That makes sense to everyone so far?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
so,
And welcome in, Raiders. We have a rating party of 14. We're learning Avatar. Avatar: The Last Airbender. What bender would you be? We're learning the rules. I'm about to dive into a session today, and you get to find out who we are in a moment.
Awesome. Thank you, Raiders, for coming. Thank you for the raid. Awesome.
Thanks, Ty.
Thank you so much, Ty. I love Ty. He's awesome. But so now that we have the general feel how it's going to be, we are going to start off by explaining what the roles are, what the things you can do, and then we'll actually build the story together. So let's actually review the kind of roles you can do. So your character sheet, and I'm actually going to pull up one of the character sheets. We've sort of done a little bit of our homework beforehand and got a couple things set up, but for the general story and everything, we still haven't agreed on that yet. I would like you guys to join us as we come up with the story, and also give us your input in chat. But let's pull up this character sheet here. So this is the character sheet for the icon, let's say, for the icon. Now, you can see here that there are 3 sections. There's the I should say 4. There's the stat section, there's the balance section, and then there's the condition section, and finally the fatigue section. So all of your characters have stats in creativity, like how well you create things and how your mind expands and does special cool things. Your focus, which is going to be your bending abilities and other things that require your technique. Your harmony is kind of like your internal harmony balance of, in a sense. And then finally, passion. Now, each of your characters, depending on what playbook Now, a playbook is basically your character, your class, as a common term it is used in other role playing games. Your playbook determines what your starting stats are. You can have anything from -3 to a +3, but just starting off, you're not going to have anything more than like a +1 or +2 or a -1 or a -2, unless you have some special features with your character class, character playbook. Now, the icon specifically has, and that is the character that Travis is playing. If you don't mind, just review the base stats that you have on your sheet for the character class of the icon or playbook of the icon.
Yeah, sure. So I have um, creativity, focus, harmony, and passion. And based on the icons, I have a 0 to creativity, a +1 to focus, normally, a +1 to harmony, and a -1 to passion. And my balances are between my role in my duty versus freedoms.
Exactly. So now let's go over balance. This is a very cool original concept for Avatar Legends. When you do your balance is if you know to watch the TV show, you know there's so much drama and people battling with their inner turmoil because for all intents and purposes we are 18 to 12-ish, so we have all that teenage angst and internal drama that comes with that age group. So one, there'll be no killing, unless people can die, but we're not killing anyone. No ice spikes through the throat or anything like that. But we will be dealing with dramatic interactions. Now, your characters usually is between two different concepts, two principles that to their core that they follow. Specifically, the icon, which is Travis's character, follows role and freedom. Like the role that they chose, the role that they are meant to do in their life, whatever they were given, and then freedom to break free of that role and to become themselves. Now, throughout the course of the story, you will be shifting your roles accordingly. If you notice on the role chart, you have a 0-0, meaning that you're right in the middle. And then if you go over to the left towards one or to the right towards the other, for instance, to the left, the role icon for the icon can give you +1, +2, and so on. But if you look at the freedom, it's now -1, -2, -3. There will be times when you will have to roll the 2d6 because as a Powered by the Apocalypse game, you roll 2d6s and that's it. You don't have to worry about any other dice. But when you roll the 2d6s, you have to add a modifier. So if you're doing something that exemplifies your role or maybe your freedom, you will have to roll and add those modifiers. So if let's say that Travis, your character was at a -2 for freedom, but a +2 for role, and someone's trying to convince you to be free, to let loose of your role, you will roll freedom, a 2d6s, and subtract -2 because you've been pushing to the role and people are trying to get you to freedom. Now, a 7 to a 9 is a moderate, is a basic success. That's something bad may happen, but at least what you want to do, it will be done. Now, a 10 or higher is basically a critical success. You will definitely do what you want to do. There may or may not be a consequence, depends on the action that you're doing or the move, as they are called here. You will basically adjust your score accordingly, and if you succeed critically, you'll always be able to do it, and so on and so forth. Now, if you do below a 7, for instance, like a 1 through 6, that is a failure. You may still be able to do what you want to do, because this game's all about the narrative, the role play. We still want to keep it moving, but something bad might happen. For instance, you may want to do something stealthy and do something that relies on your training or that relies on a focus, and you roll a 5. You still may be able to, say, bend the water to make an ice sculpture or something like that, who knows. But maybe it'll be to fool the guards, let's say. But maybe there'll be some chips in it or some damage, and they're like, "Hey, that's not it." And you're like, "Well, you did it," but they basically figured out that you were trying to pull up a ruse, whatever, something like that. Whereas a 7 to a 9, you do it, and they're like, "There's something suspicious," and they'll kind of stare at it a little bit, and they may continue. And a 10, it's like, "Wow, look at this sculpture. It looks totally like the statue that was here, but you may be destroyed because of narrative purposes," let's say. So that's basically how the rolling schematics works between 7 and 9 success, 10 and higher super success. Any questions on your basic stats and your balance and the rolling?
Nope. No, makes sense.
In chat, if you have any questions, please ask and let me know. Guys, if you see that chat says something and I'm in the middle, feel free to stop me or let me know and I'll go ahead and address it. So
yeah. Oh, also, sorry, I'll say, so also as a part of the character building, we each get a +1 to one of our stats. So our character, as I said before, like I have a +1 to focus and harmony, but a -1 to passion. And you'll notice the like little tick mark that I have next to harmony. I've put my additional +1 there into harmony. So actually I have a +2 to my harmony skills.
Exact. Yes. Everyone gets the ability when they create the channel to make a plus in any one of them. So they can make something that's super negative, at least a 0, or be even better at something. Totally up to you. Now, how do you actually get hurt? And like I said, no one dies in this game. So how do you get knocked out of the scene, for instance, until you come back at the end? Well, and if you see on the sheet, there's fatigue. Fatigue is what anytime you do something, let's say you do an ability, it's a little tiring, it's a little exhausting. So more than likely, every time you bend or do an action or move, you'll get a fatigue. But it really depends, or if you get hit by someone, you may get a fatigue. Now, you can see that you have a limit of 5 fatigue. When you reach that 6 fatigue, instead, you will mark off a condition, where you can see over the right of the sheet that there is conditions. Now, you can get conditions one of 2 ways. Either it is inflicted upon you, or I should say 3 ways. It is inflicted upon you by an ability or something like that, or recoil from an ability that you use, or you go over your fatigue and then have to then mark off a condition. And you can't mark off the same condition twice. So if one's already used, you just go to the next one that you deem is as close to whatever happened. And then finally, as the GM, I can just give you a condition if I feel like it's right for the narrative. So the conditions are afraid, angry, foolish, guilty, and insecure. Now, if you are afraid, you'll notice that there are some positives and negatives to being afraid and to being angry, such that you take -2 to certain rolls, +2 to certain rolls, and so on and so forth. And then in order for you to get rid of these conditions, you have to perform a certain act, such as if you're afraid, you have to run away, for instance. If you're angry, you have to kind of blow up at someone, and you have to kind of release the conditions, and by the end of the scene, they will go away. Now, as I was saying, how do you get knocked out? When you fill up all of your conditions and you get another one, your character can't have it, you're over it, and your character will either leave, get knocked out, or something like that, and then will reappear back in the next scene. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so no KOs. You like have a panic attack and run away or get knocked out.
Exactly. Alrighty. So that pretty much, to go over a couple things technical in this special sheet that I was able to grab, you see that there are trainings. You don't have to be a bender if you don't want to be. Avatar is full of different abilities and skills that people can do.
Okay, I want to say 0s or 1s. Put a 1 in the chat if you would be a bender. 0s, or put your bending. Who's gonna be a weapons expert when you could be a bender?
Shade. In Avatar Last Airbender, you had the Kyoshi warriors who were badass. They destroyed all benders, and they were amazing. You also had like the chi blockers, and then in cabbage salesman. In Korra, you had like the like Asami who like wore like techno electro gloves and stuff like that and could shock people and do martial arts. You don't have to be a bender, but bending is really cool. So you can choose any of those as your training, and for all intents and purposes, you're all battlers. You all know how to bend. Everyone you encounter who you would fight knows how to fight and has the stats. So you are trained. Whatever you want to make your characters, like assassins or someone, well, assassins who you're not going to kill anyone, but or like trained combatants. So you can choose from there, but you can't be more than one. Obviously, you're not the Avatar. You can't bend multiple stuff. So now, with that being said, that completes everything with the character sheets. So, if there's no further questions there, and like I said, if chat has anything, please let me know. And we'll go over the conditions in more in-depth on how to get rid of them and other things you can do. But let's go over the actual skills you can do. So, they are called basic moves. Everyone can do any of these basic moves. Now, you do not need to necessarily ask me, can I do this? You just do it. You go, and you don't say, my character assesses the situation. No, I want to hear your character assessing the situation, how they do it, and then ask the questions that the skill provides. So let's go over all of the basic moves. There's about 9, but really 7 you'll be using most often. So there's assess a situation, as I said before. So you roll with creativity, so 2d6 plus whatever you have in your creativity box. Now, if you get to a 6 and below, you fail. A 7 to a 9, you get to ask one question. Ask me one question about what the situation is. On a 10 higher, so a crit, you get to ask 2 questions, and you get to take 1 ongoing when acting on the answers. When you'll see things such as 1 ongoing, 1 hold, or 1 forward, basically that means that if it's an ongoing, throughout the entire scene, you get +1 to that, as long as it pertains to whatever question you ask. If it's hold, basically you can hold on to it and use it when next applicable, and a forward means your next roll. So you'll hear those being used, and I'll let you know and remind you when they come up. So, example of assessing the situation. You guys are in a Fire Nation encampment, and you're trying to find like where a captive is to try to like of the resistance. So someone might be like, my character, or let's say as we've already chosen some characters' names, so I'm going to use yours for instance, Travis. Jogu sneaks in and starts looking around, and you want to, and it's like my character Jogu looks around. He's searching up and down and starts going underneath tents. I like to assess the situation to see what I can gather. How many combatants are here under the Fire Nation? So I'll be like, sounds assessing the situation. Yes, roll with creativity. You would roll, and if you roll high enough, I'll be able to say, okay, so you always will know, you keep a sharp eye on how many people are going in and out of the Fire Nation encampment. Right now, there seems to be about 15 combatants, but you will have +1 ongoing every time you try to make sure you know the situation, see how many people are where, and it'll give you a good way to kind of just assess everything. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we could like make note of these +1s on our character sheet and stuff like that, so that way we don't forget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. Next up is the guide and comfort, and I better see people doing it. This is where the juicy role playing comes in. So when you guide and comfort, you're rolling with harmony. Now, how do you heal? Remember, I said you get like fatigue and then you get conditions. How do you heal that? Well, one, you either take like, there's like a scene where you're saying you're just sleeping inside of a house, and depending on where you are sleeping can depend on how much you get. But when you are guiding comfort, this is when you're like, I'm going to go up to Zeki's character, Chaha, for instance, and he's angry, he's upset, or he's fatigued. So you go ahead and actually be like, I know what we did was wrong, Chaha, but we did what was right. It was the only way. and Chaha has the condition of angry because you did something to upset him. You would then do a roll with harmony to roll your 2d6s and roll with harmony, and on a success you embrace and comfort them. They may clear a condition or 2 fatigue, and you may ask one question that they have to answer honestly. So that's more things you can do for the role play. If you get a 10, you can also shift their balance. So let's say you want to make them more like, go back into Jogu freedom. You can kind and comfort them and be like, what you did wasn't wrong. You were living your own truth. And you be like, boop, shift their balance to freedom. Moving on, there's intimidate. So if you want to intimidate an NPC or another character, you would go and roll with passion. And basically, it sounds, he says, you're trying to intimidate them. You have some bending abilities up, and you're like, I'm gonna burn you unless you do something like that. You want to intimidate them. When you do on a hit, so you get a 7 or 9, you pick something that they cannot do. So they cannot either run or get back up. They cannot back down and keep watching. They cannot give in with a few stipulations, or they cannot attack you. So those are the choices they have. They can attack you, back down, run away, or give in to what you say. But when you intimidate someone, and you get a 10 plus, you can basically say they can do any of that except for this one. So you can make sure they act the way you want them to. Pleading is kind of like you're begging them. Obviously, if you're pleading for a Fire Nation person to do something good, and you're in the era, and that happens to be, not all Fire Nation people are bad, I shouldn't say that, but if you're going against someone in the Fire Nation army and they're a bad person, you want to do something really good, they probably won't be able to plead. You probably got to stick with intimidate. But if you're trying to beg an NPC to give you shelter, you plead with them. You roll with harmony. On a 7 to 9, they need something more. They need some evidence. You got to show them something. Give that little push for them to do it. On a 10, they'll do it. They'll be like, yes, within reason. They'll like totally will help you for pleading. There's pushing your luck, which is a big one. If you're doing something that's like, I want to bend and like use my fire bending to like float and fly, which is a pretty advanced thing to do. You might be pushing your luck, for instance, or if you want to be like, I want to jump across this building, like far across this building using my X bending here. You might be pushing your luck. That's like doing something extra. You roll with passion, and on a hit, 7 to 9, it works, but it will cost you. On a 10, it definitely works. You might have something bad happen, but it will be very minuscule and it won't really affect the overall outcome. And if you fail, well, then we may allow it to pass just for the narrative, but something bad's gonna happen. You might get some fatigue, a condition, so on and so forth. Relying on your skills and training. That's kind of your bread and butter. You're like, I want to, there's a chasm. I'm going to earthbend the chasm and make like rocks appear so we can step on. I'm like, okay, great. That's something an earthbender could do, a basic earthbender, just make rocks move. Go ahead and roll a focus, and that's rely on your skills and training to make sure you're good at whatever you want to do. And on a 7 to 9, it's not perfect, but it helps. On a 10, yeah, you're a master bender. On a 7 to 9, though, I'll give you a consequence, like you succeed, but this happens. You can either accept that or be like, I would rather take a fatigue instead. So it's tiring what you did. Next up, and we're almost done, is the tricking an NPC. So you can trick an NPC by rolling with creativity. On a 7 to 9, you could pick one of these, and on a 10 plus, you pick 2. They stumble. You take a +1 forward, so your next roll, to acting against them. So whatever you do next, if you have to have a roll to like fool them again or do something or punch them in the face, you get a +1 to that. They act foolishly. Basically, I'll tell you like something, like you trick them, and then they may like give you some secrets, or they'll act foolishly. And then they overcommit, meaning that like they are basically, you trick them and like they will continue being tricked by you for a very long time. You fooled them so good. So a 7 to 9, one of those, 10 plus, any one, 2 of those, 2 out of the 3. Now, finally, the last one that's not an actual roll is the help move. So whenever you basically take an appropriate action that fits the narrative and you want to help someone, you will mark a -1 fatigue on your sheet, but they get +1 to the roll they're trying to do. And you don't have to do this before. You can see their roll, be like, that was crappy, let me help you. Take your -1 fatigue and they'll just get +1, which can make a difference between a 6 to a 7 or a 9 to a 10. So those are all the basic moves that you can do in Avatar Legends. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it'll become more obvious when we start going through it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and then finally, these parts I'm just going to kind of go through because they're pretty simple, and it will only happen during those like big scenes. So there are balance moves. These are moves that you can do that can change someone's inner core. This is where the RP gets in place. So you can shift someone's balance. So there is another way I didn't mention that someone can be out. Like they will be knocked out. That's if their balance meter goes over. Like you said, you have 0, 1, 2, 3, and then if you go to that 4, you will freak out, and whatever that fits the narrative will happen, and you basically will be out of that scene until further notice. And that's like, for instance, there's an episode of Avatar where Zuko basically had to choose between finding the Avatar and his honor and being himself, and he just blew up and was just out of it and like walked out. Like there's stuff that will happen like that. So those moves are living up to your principle, for instance, and like you basically mark 1 fatigue and you will roll for one of your principles to get something done. So you can be like, I want to help out, because I want to assess the situation, but my creativity sucks. So maybe you can convince me or make sense to have freedom, so using yours would make more sense, and that's what you're closer to. That's called living up to your principle. You can call someone out, and I expect to see that. If you see someone doing something and against your character's thoughts, you can call them out. And on a 7 to 9, when you call them out, you basically roll your principle, and then you can basically call them out on it, and they have to act accordingly. But they can reverse it if you fail and call you out instead. And there's an ability called denying a call out, which is they're like, no, and so how about you check your stuff, and then they can come after you. And that will build a narrative as well. And then finally, there's reshifting your balance. You can take a roll and reshift your balance and move accordingly to what you want. And basically, that's everything on balance. And then when it comes to combat, we'll actually go through that when we actually do combat. But combat can either be done in just normal, using the rules we just had, if it's like a quick 1, 2, 3. But if you're fighting a big bad or someone substantial, you'll jump into combat, and that's a different section that if we get to it, I will explain then. So, all intents and purposes, that is basically everything you can do when it comes to rolling in Avatar Legends. Are there any general questions, or chat if you have any questions, please let me know and I'll answer them right now. All right. Okay, so now that we have all the roles going on, let's actually go through and create the story and create the fiction that we want. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some creating fiction music on. So, first things first. And I'm going to actually follow the full-on guide in the book to do so we actually get everything down pat. Let's first choose the era we would like to play in. Now, there are several different eras, 5. We have the Kyoshi era, we have the Oroku era, we have the 100-Year War era, and then we have the Aang era, and then finally the Korra era. So, just to briefly go through them, The Kyoshi era is like kind of a feudal time. Borders are still being placed between the four nations. There's lots of bandits. There's not much law involved, and there's a lot of drama with the Avatar herself, Avatar Kyoshi, during this time. So if you want to do kind of like this nomadic or venturing around way back when in the history, we can do that. If we want to do Roku, so now everyone has their borders, everyone's at peace, but there's rumblings happening and a lot of espionage and darkness within the Fire Nation as it is ramping up to the actual war where the Fire Nation attacked. And then there's the 100-Year War where the Fire Nation attacked. The Avatar is gone. People are like, what's an Avatar? Because it's been so many years since they last seen the Avatar. And it's going to be like battle. We could be like... what's the word? Rebels or something like that against the Fire Nation. Then that also bleeds into the actual Avatar: The Last Airbender show. Then there's the Aang era. So Aang has saved the day. He defeated, spoiler alerts everybody, we're just gonna he defeated the Fire Lord Ozai, and he is now trying to rebuild the world and with Team Avatar. So it's all about rebuilding and distrust still happening. And then finally, there's the Korra era. Spoiler alert, at the end of Korra, the spirit world kind of fused, at least in Republic City, which is the main setting in Korra, fused with the material world, and now people are dealing with it. And it's future sci-fi mixed with spirituality all together, if we want to do that. And you'll see a lot more fighting styles are there, a lot more technology. And we'll be dealing with like gangs and just, it's not futuristic because it's still like kind of steampunky, but more futuristic than the other eras. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to you guys. Let's discuss where we would like to play, or when we would like to play.
I think the Roku, like in the rumblings of war, like towards the end of that sounded cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Awesome. And Declan, how's that sound for you?
Yeah, no, look, there's a temptation to go in there and be all like, hey, let's hang out, let's be friends. But for me, I think, yeah, Roku and like getting kind of a sense of the world before the Fire Nation went all nuts.
Awesome. Perfect. So sounds like we're in agreement. We want to do Avatar Roku towards the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So I will write down here in my little sheet. Whoops. Butterfingers.
I feel like that's like the perfect amount of tension that we want to kind of play into.
All right. So we're in the Roku era towards the end. Awesome. So now let's discuss the scope. How big do we want to do this? It is a one shot, but you can make it as big as we want because we can time skip. Do we want to have like local town, super small, or are we traveling to other nations? Or are we going to stay in just one nation?
I feel like we're, from what we've talked about off screen, trying to focus this a little bit in one specific forest, maybe adjacent to a particular swamp.
Sounds right.
And I think it would probably be near somewhere in the southern hemisphere.
Got it. So are we?
I guess.
So are we doing a specific swamp, or do we want to make up just like a swamp?
I think, no, he's referring to, spoiler alerts for my character. I'm a waterbender, not from the north or southern tribe, but from the foggy swamp region. And we're specifically talking about, for our character's story and background, it's the plot will happen in, that's part of the plot. Like, is border dispute, is it part of the Water Nation's foggy swamp? Is it part of the Earth Nation, like in that general spot?
Got it.
It's right on the border, actually.
Yeah, right on the border. Awesome. So we're just gonna do like the foggy swamp is where we're gonna be. And Declan, that works for you as well?
Yeah, that's gonna. I think again, I don't want to go too into character stuff, but yeah, that ties well into what I was thinking with the character that I was going to play and kind of their background.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so we have our scope, we have our era. Let's now let's go ahead and start. Now we can build our characters before we do our inciting incident, the thing that got us all together. So let's go ahead and I feel free to. We should all build these characters together if there's any open-ended things, because this is a collaborative storytelling experience. I'll start off with Chaha this time. So Zeki, explain to me what playbook, or to everyone, what playbook you chose, and a little bit about what character you are trying to design, and maybe we can all jump in and kind of build your character together.
Sounds like a good idea.
Awesome.
So I am specifically trying to build a character out of the Rogue playbook. And I've kind of written down, like, as my basic like name templating, Chaha the Wild Nomad. I am a monk who I think is going to be, taking the wilderness background and having like a joking demeanor. I feel like a lot of the airbenders have like a certain humor about them, just with like the nature of being fluid, like the wind, and somewhat, fleeting and flaky, and just kind of that type of personality. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. And I guess I'm kind of losing track. Is there anything else I needed to?
Well, you are torn between friendship and survival. So either relying on your friends or basically relying on yourself, like, to survive. Like, you'll do what it can to survive and sacrifice your friends, for instance, or like you understand to put others before you. That's kind of like you're torn. So so some questions that I would ask, such as how did you come to feel that the only way to survive was to break the rules, for instance?
Oh, okay, got it. So in that case, while in my hometown of the Southern Air Temple, I overheard Master Udron talking about the Fire Nation and how I think it was someone from the Eastern temple is attempting to keep peace with the Fire Nation by having a royal marriage with their nation, and then also carry around this new philosophy. And Master Udron, who I follow, isn't falling for it and is kind of calling BS, and thinks that the Fire Nation is something to not take so lightly, and that is why I'm choosing to break the rules and strike out on my own, as it were.
Awesome. You do get connections, and you all, for instance, know each other. So we'll keep that in mind as we go through every characters, but we're going to get to the connections last. There are questions such as, who do you rely on? Who breaks you out of these bad habits? Now, it could be an NPC or it could be a player, but I'll leave that up to you.
I kind of came up with a little bit of this backstory that I had this friend named Siba, who tried to, keep me on the straight and narrow, keep me from stealing from, people who, I deemed as corrupt. Maybe they just were yelling at me for meandering in the middle of the street on my little air scooter, but I'm gonna do what I'm doing, and if you cross me, I'm not gonna feel so bad if I happen to take a couple cabbages or some apples from your cart.
Oh, interesting. Alrighty. So I am loving Chaha. Okay, so now that we have Chaha set in this world, why don't we move on over to Rua? So, Declan, what can you tell me, or tell us, about Rua?
So Rua, I've taken from the successor playbook, and Rua is an earthbender from a fairly well established family that kind of has connections to uh, some fairly noble houses and families in the Earth Kingdom. He's torn between kind of the sense of tradition and progress. His family quite wealthy. They are landowners that are they rent farms out. They have mines all over the kingdom, and they're constantly kind of pushing the limits of territories and grabbing for power. He's not sure how comfortable he is with that, not necessarily owning land, but his family's efforts to acquire and what they do to acquire it.
Awesome. So, and then do you have? And you don't have to. We can come up or make it up as we go. Like the head of your nobility
Eh,
line.
Yeah, is again, my grandfather is still very much alive, and he is literally known as Madra, and yeah, he's quite a stoic. Again, would have had a military background, but has since retired, um, and has connections kind of all over the world. Effectively, quite an influential character.
Awesome. And we'll get more into your motivations as we build the entire narrative. But finally, we are now going to touch base with Travis as we learn more about Jogu. Looks like the icon. So can you tell us a little about Jogu?
Yeah, sure. Jogu, the icon, is part of, as I said earlier, the Foggy Swamp Water Tribe. And he is an icon because he is one of the special people there who have the ability to heal. And so, therefore, he was forced into this role. He was, from an early age, told that he has to be the one that heals the spirits. And our family and tribe sort of protect the Foggy Swamp lands where the spirits are. And so that's sort of my role, and that's part of my balance, is between being that spiritual guide for my peoples and my freedom of being someone else. I have a companion. My companion, his name is Saffron, and he is a peacock panther. So he has sort of like the body of a panther, but from the top of his neck down to like his back and where his tail is comes and connects a very, very large peacock plume. And he is a very large beast. So he is a beast large enough for me to ride and potentially also bring another companion. So he is a massive creature. And when his feathers and tails are sort of fold back, he looks, not too intimidating, but with the full tail and plume, he can be quite intimidating. But his name is Saffron.
Nice.
And my master, his name is Baba Tikali, and she's known as the Golden Ring, for better, for worse.
Awesome. And also your peacock panther is large and rideable, so all to purpose, you guys could probably just like Appa it and just hop on and use it as a way of a mode of transportation, which is fantastic.
Is it really that big?
So the icon character sheet, one of the things that you can choose to take or one of the moves is called Yip Yip. And you have an animal companion large enough to ride. Name and choose their species, and it gives you a bunch of options like the standard bison, air bison, and some of the other ones that we've seen in the series. And I asked our gracious DM if I could reflavor that, because I found such cool fan art of a peacock panther So just, I know it feels like a weird combo to be large, but just pretend that he's large enough to ride because that's what my ability says I get.
It's not even weird. There are like raptor-like creatures. I forget the name of it. Like there are creatures in Avatar that are just like weird as hell, but like they can ride them, so it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally into it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Saffron, the Panther Peacock, and he gives me a few bonuses if he's like in battle or with us, and also gives us some bonuses if we travel on him. So yeah.
Awesome.
And sorry, did I miss something of the story that I was supposed to tie together? I know we were sort of talking about ourselves.
Oh no, because we're gonna now go and run how on your group dynamic. I mean, you all are known each other. You could say maybe you just met. I would say you know each other for a little bit, just for the sake of the narrative. So we will come up all that.
I feel like you said, because we wanted to be a little bit prepared. I feel like we have a tentative idea of how it feels like we can fit together.
Yeah, exactly. But as an icon, yeah, you're stuck between role versus freedom, so we will see the juxtaposition between that as we continue, such as like the traditions that you wish to follow, for instance, between like and healing and so on and so forth, and then just being free to venture off on your own. But we will find that down. So think of things like why can't you settle down, or what gives you angst as a teenager. In this world. All right, perfect. So we have all of our characters set. We have Jogu, Chaha, and Rua, 3 benders, air, water, and earth. So it should be pretty cool to see how you use all those abilities. A lot of you have mentioned special abilities such as the air scooter and healing. So at the start of this, since it's a one-shot, I gave everyone a mastered advanced ability. Advanced abilities are things that you learn from teaching or something that you would have. So one thing that Travis had mentioned, you wish to heal. Healing is an ability, and what healing does, just to tell you really quick, it is called refresh. It's part of a battle when you evade and observe, which we'll go over when we have there. So you can basically heal up some fatigue. And then Chaha, you have the air scooter, I believe, which I forget exactly what it does. Oh, yes.
So I summon a ball of or ring of air and put it underneath of myself, and then I can like ride along like it's a little scooter. And I can also, if we get into like a combat situation or something, sacrifice the air scooter instead of marking a fatigue or condition when struck by an attack. So it's also kind of like almost a shield in a way too. So, but you know, why be an airbender if you can't just ride around on a little ball of air, right?
Exactly.
100%.
And for Rua, did you have an advanced technique that you would like to learn? You can also choose the one that you get on your character.
I kept break as my character one.
And let's see. So, and I don't know why, but for some reason it keeps muting you for me, but I have it done. It's the thing, I think. If you want, I can go ahead and give you a list of earthbender things.
Is that different to the one that I have on my... Because I have break down on my character playbook, and I kept that, or is that different?
No. You can choose what's on your character playbook, or you can choose earthbending style. Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so you're going to take the break. What does that do once?
So it allows me... It's evade and observe, but it allows me to target a foe's vulnerable equipment, rendering it useless or broken, possibly inflicting or overcoming a fictionally appropriate status.
Awesome. Alrighty. So we're all set. So now let's start to build a fiction. So before we go... once again, we are in the end of Roku era, and we're getting towards that where tensions are tough between the nations, and the Fire Nations are planning something. So we decided we want to keep the scope to the foggy, the swampy area, the swamp, and what do we want to do there?
Well, I may, or actually, Declan, do you want to start?
Yeah, if that's okay. I just
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think it works because I think you're basically going to give us like the setting kind of thing.
So my family have recently begun to expand further, and part of that is they have acquired a rather substantial amount of land, swamp actually, and we now plan on draining that and possibly turning it into a settlement, and or if not, any natural resources, just chopping them up and selling them for profit, because capitalism. And yeah, I think Rua, kind of having been pinned for you know being another successor in the family business, and keeping that kind of stake going, has been sort of sent to not oversee, but there to kind of learn the ropes effectively.
Awesome. I like that. So basically, your family is destroying this bog, this swamp, and it's like as like an eco-terrorist like a scenario. Sounds like.
Yeah, well, I mean, that depends on who you talk to. We sort of see it
Yeah.
as, appropriating, desolate waste space, and making homes.
Got it. No, perfectly. Yeah, just totally like destroying the land just to build industry. Anything else anyone wants to add to the general storyline or backstory?
So that obviously bleeds into my character's storyline. So we actually now have started to branch out to other regions, and that area that they want to drain is actually where we harvest and cultivate the herbs that are used in medicinal plants and healing salves. So I'm that's how I'm sort of tied to that.
Yeah, and I'm sort of tied to it because I am taking things into my own hands and sabotaging and thieving a little from the Fire Nation in their efforts to do stuff on this land as well.
Awesome. So, Rua's character is from like our Earth Kingdom nobility, but they are working with the Fire Nation as they're now starting to push their way. Is that what you want to tie in the Fire Nation that way?
I think maybe even that we've hired firebenders to help with clearing terrain very, very quickly. Like earthbenders are moving stuff, firebenders are also helping kind of like scorch things away. So we are kind of doing kind of a scorch and burn scenario. So we are literally the royal we are decimating it.
Awesome. And would you say the Fire Nation, this is me just throwing ideas, we don't have to go with, would you say the Fire Nation would also benefit? They'll have some type of, because if they're because we're right before when the Fire Nation attacks, so they're preparing for war as well. Would they be able to benefit off of this as well? Like, we'll give you some of our benders, but we need like, I don't know, land, or we get the trees. I don't know.
They probably need all the lumber to like
Yeah.
build their warships,
Yeah.
build, they
Yep.
might be strip mining as well. You never know.
And also, it would be a perfect excuse, we've sent in, firebenders there, but maybe one or two of them are spies, seeing just how accomplished the Earth Kingdom's security forces are. There is that sort of like, yeah, we'll do that for you, but we can drop in a handful of agents that are also going to be there to monitor and spy.
I like that. That's awesome. So what is the group's focus? So do we want to have like at the end, are you going to defeat a foe, or well, there's another one, it's called to protect the place, person, or an idea. Sounds like we might be to protect the forest. Oh, I'm sorry, the swamp.
Yeah.
I feel
That's
like
a good-
2/3 of us, maybe.
Well, why? What would Jogu be doing?
No, I agree. I was saying because Rua, his family's overseeing it, so I don't know.
Oh, is Rua like against or for this? Like,
Yeah, I think that's where
Battle.
That's
that's
the
what
conflict.
Rua is struggling with, is that like he's been sent here to kind of learn this, but isn't necessarily comfortable. And not because he mistrusts the Fire Nation, he just doesn't know if this is the right thing to do.
right, right. So then, how is he tied? How are you tying all three of your characters together then?
I mean, perhaps I ran into Jogu specifically while running away from some Fire Nation benders, some firebenders, and I don't know. Jogu was probably like collecting some herbs or something, and I'm just like running away with like the kitchen sink or whatever I could get my hands on.
Oh, you stole from the firebenders and they're chasing you.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. I'm like sabotaging their lumber collection. I'm like untying like the logs so that way they like roll off and they have to like double their efforts in order to get anywhere, kind of thing. And I'm not sure where Rua fits in with that.
Well, because Rua is not that. Yeah, he's not. He's not street smart. Like he's a pampered little rich boy. So he's been doing what he has been kind of undermining the operation his way, which is just through bureaucracy. Like that was supposed to be filled in triplicate. We don't have the report on that yet. So I think maybe having learned then that there is a rogue air nomad and a waterbender kind of like attacking Fire Nation troops and slowing down. Maybe he seeks ye out. And that's sort of like, maybe he's trying to make an alliance between the both of you.
We could also say that, since you're saying that your family like purchased this land, even though it's like our land, you knew that there's tribes people there, and you and I have met. Like you've tried to come to negotiate and brought like paperwork to us, and we're like tree people who are like, I don't care what your paper says. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe we could have had like correspondence before, and that's how we know each other.
Yeah.
And maybe I got caught before and was given over to you to deal with as like it's your land or whatever, and you were just like, here, this is how I have been undermining this situation too.
Here's a map.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it.
I love it. So you're three of you are like a band, like a motley crew trying to stop this destruction of the forest and of the jungle or swamp, and will basically save the people in the ecosystem that has been developed here. Because for all intents and purposes, the foggy swamp is like a spiritual place. Spirits live here as well, so you might interact with spirits, and it's just a calming presence. But now they're all turmoiling up because they're being destroyed. Sort of just like what happened in Avatar when in Book 2 when they got there. So totally love it. So we have our scope. We have our group focus. You are here to protect and free and rescue, in a sense, the entire swamp. So now let's go over and let's go back really quick and actually no. So you have your connections. So then this is how you all are connected to each other. Perfect. So you can write that down in your connections part of your sheets. Finally, and this is the last part, we will go over your inciting incident. So something big happened. So we're already, all this happened already, but then where the story starts is that something big is going on. So what's the big thing that happened where we will start our story? Could be like a battle or something. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I would say, I think a good place for us to start is to say that Jogu and Rua had recently met and agreed that there was going to be like a halt, and people from the Earth and Fire Nation disregarded our like treaty and like attacked like something crazy and caught all three of us off guard because Cha is with us, with the Water Tribe people. What do you guys think of that?
Like, you think that they attacked like something in the swamp that
like you were saying, like you're trying to hold them off with bureaucracy, and we agreed like that there was like an area that they were not going to go to just yet, and they disregarded that and went there anyway.
Yeah, it could be tied to those herbs and stuff that you are farming, and it's just like it's seedlings that we were like, no, like that I've blocked that off. They're not going to go there. I've that X on a map, and lo and behold, it's been totally and utterly ruined.
Right.
Maybe they built a dam with some of your earthbending compatriots, and like they're using their fire to like turn it into like a clay dam or whatever.
Yep.
And they're firing the clay, and now the waters have began to only trickle through there with your plants, Travis, not getting the nutrients they need to anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's a huge problem.
Yeah.
So to pull on perspective and be for specificity, yeah. It sounds like, so we could say something like, we'll call it like a spirit grove, where these special spirit infused fauna and flora exist that you use to harvest to make your healing herbs and things like that. And that was like a very spiritual area that was supposed to be off limits. They decided to go and did they destroy it, or are they about to destroy it?
They're in the process of destroying
They're
it.
in the,
Yeah.
did they like? Oh, would it be interesting if they like had built a dam and where that grove was is now underwater? Because
Yeah.
Or being starved or dried out.
or being starved and dried out.
Like
Either
like
way,
you said, I like either of those.
yeah.
Okay. So
And it's like this new discovery. Jogu just went to go to the grove, and now all of a sudden it is up to the game master to decide.
well, we all decide, but so that's Act 1. So in Act 2, so you guys, so this is how I'm thinking it. So you guys, after meeting up with each other and discussing what's happening here in this swamp, you spoke with the higher ups as well as Rua to say, do not attack this area. There are people who are living here in their sacred areas. They went and did so anyway and started building up a dam, which then created a backup of water that is drowning this spirit grove. And now you've set it upon yourself, since they're not listening to reason, you now have to take action. And the next part of that, what did you do to what did you do because of it? So this is what happened already. So now that they built all this, you've went in there and fought them off and destroyed the dam, and now they're chasing you? Or what was the actual result of the dam part?
I mean, I guess that makes the most sense, like you said, Zeki, that if there's a dam, we like exploded it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
That'd be my
And are,
guess.
And are like running away, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's all in green. So now you are running away after destroying the dam, and now they're looking for you. They don't know exactly who did it. Maybe off the suspicions you get up, but they are definitely trying to figure out, and you're getting away from there. And that was basically Act 2, and Act 3 is the running away. So now we are at the end of Act 3, which is like an incident. It's in 1 to 3 acts. 1, 2, and 3 acts. So the third act is like you're running away. You've gotten away somewhere. You're deep in the jungle, and you're being chased or searched by both Fire Nation and Earthbenders who are trying to find who did this and put a stop to you. And that is where we will start. So there, we've created our scope, our focus, our inciting incident, and now all that is left is to play. So, are there any other questions? Anything you guys mean? And of course, you can always ask questions during play. Awesome. So, with that being said, I'm just going to just close that off for now.
Can we also, sorry, I guess before we start, I was gonna say, can we say that in our Act 3, when we destroyed the dam, that we had a cool combo scene where we all used our different bending skills to like create like a crack in the dam and force it open, and we all like played our part in making it happen? I'm like picturing this scene in my head.
Certainly. Why don't we do this? When we start, let's flash back to Act 3 and explain what happened. So it was going to be action as soon as we start, and then we'll have you guys run away and then start off from there. So we'll start at Act 3 actually, with you doing, and then do whatever you would like, and we'll see how well it did. Maybe it didn't break. We'll see how well you rolled and see what happened to the actual dam. So we'll start off there. So with that being said, now we're all set, we're going to jump right into tonight's session of Avatar Legends. So I'm going to set the scene. And actually, why don't we cue the intro? Okay, and we are back. So, water, fire, earth, air. The four nations live in harmony and balance, guided by the spiritual force known as the Avatar. All is calm within the lands. No issues. But there are whispers of war. The Fire Nation seems to be ramping up in production of war machines, as there are talks of espionage and spies, with Avatar Roku flying all over the foreign nations and trying to suss out any type of troubles that are happening and to remain and keep things in balance. But there are many things that are happening that he does not know about. One of such is at the border down in the Earth Kingdom. There is a large swamp, a spiritual swamp, that it seems that one family, one noble family from the Earth Kingdom wishes to use to further proliferate their funds. Working together with the Fire Nation, they have walked in, discussed and talked with the inhabitants, but have continued to destroy and work and push their way into this sacred forest. Our three heroes, Jogu, the icon of the water bending of the foggy swamp, Chaha, the rogue airbender, and Rua, of the noble family who was originally head of this project of the Earth Kingdom, have banded together and decided to stop this further destruction of this holy place. There was a rule that Rua, though, put in place, a rule to only expand to a certain point before further talks can be dealt with. But it seems they pushed too far. Building a dam, the earthbenders and the firebenders had blocked off a sacred, holy grotto of plants and herbs that Jogu was using to collect to help heal his people. And with Chaha at their side, three of them have decided to put a stop to this and destroy the dam that is hurting this ecosystem. So, currently, the three of you are on the kind of the exterior of a large, tall, 30-foot wall that spreads across at least a football field's length. It's been built by many earthbenders and solidified by the firebenders, and is currently kept guard. There is a patrol of firebenders who are walking into the swamp back and forth, guarding this area if they've heard of insurrectionists, of those inhabitants here inside of this swamp. Those insurrectionists, though, happen to be the three of you. So, as you sneak past the bushes and look up at this large structure that was created by these people, your plan to destroy it, what do you wish to do?
Okay, I think that, Cha, if you find the weak point, you can pin it. And then from there, Rua, if you can open a crack, I can probably pull some currents through, and we can make weaknesses.
I think Rua has like a blueprint of the dam, and my mother is very particular in her designs, but everything she makes has the family seal, and it's reinforced. But that's going to be our best bet if we can go for the dam head. We should be okay to it. It will let the rivers flow again.
Makes sense to me.
If that's the case, I think you think it'd be fun if we could, take my air scooter over and place us right there on the head of the wall?
Can you carry all of us?
I think I could carry at least one more of us. But I could try to make it bigger and fit all three.
If you can't, it's all right. I have Saffron here could carry me.
I'm quite all right for your air bike, and Sapphire and Rua is going to look at the Peacock Panther and just kind of like, I think perhaps a stealthier approach, though Flash would certainly be fun. I think we are probably best off doing this as quietly and inconspicuously as possible. They're already beginning to suspect things.
Well, this will be good. I mean, they already know that I'm a troublemaker.
Yes, but... And he's just going to point at himself.
We could keep you hidden, though. We try to.
Yes, subtlety has been something the both of you have definitely demonstrated over the past couple of weeks. I think perhaps we wait until the guards pass. Water through that dam. It's only a couple of days old. It's not going to be it's not going to be fully solidified. We will be
It's
able
not fully
to.
set yet. Yes, I think I could.
If you crack the rock into pieces, I can lift them up out of the way.
Quietly, though.
I don't know how
like
quietly
a whisper
we're gonna...
of the wind.
How quietly are we gonna break a dam here, Rua?
I just...
The water's gonna come out pretty fast, I imagine.
Yes, and as that's happening, I plan on being as far away from it as possible. So... quick and quiet. We're agreed.
All right.
All right. So
No, I'm going to need you to say it.
Oh!
Quick and quiet.
I promise that I will only indulge into my bad habits with everyone involved.
That'll do. The closest to contractual obligation I've gotten you so far, Taha, but we'll get there.
So it sounds like, Rua, you're trying to guide and comfort, guide your allies into making sure they're stealthy. Go ahead and roll with harmony, please.
Okay. Getting convert. An 8.
An 8. Okay. So, if you guys had any what's the word, fatigue or conditions, with that you are can remove them, but you guys are pretty much healthy and don't have to worry about that. But you do feel some sort of understanding coming from Arua, that he is guiding you, and for all intents and purposes would want to be as stealthy as possible in this endeavor. But alrighty. So, you guys are attempting to sneak up. Now, are you going up like this, like large, or are you trying just to sneak around behind? How are you trying to do this?
I figured we could just float right up to the front, above everybody else, quietly, of course. Rua, not to make that much noise. And from there, no one should be really looking at where we're at on the dam. We'll be below the top where they're patrolling, and we can just start, forming little bricks and start pulling them out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you want to do that using the scooter ability? How are you guys getting up there?
I'm making a little air scooter and going to kind of get myself and Jogu, if they need to be. I mean, what's your pet's name again?
Saffron.
Saffron. Can Saffron fly? I didn't think peacocks could fly.
They can, lightly, for a little bit.
Is it going to make a lot of noise flapping those giant wings?
I mean, he's also a panther. He's a panther peacock. He can be quiet when he needs to be.
Okay. So we'll either hover or...
We're used to being hidden in the foliage of the forest, not at the backdrop of red clay. Like, this is not my environment.
Well, then do you want to minimize our appearance by just having two people against the backdrop of this clay?
I mean, we are in the forest, now that I think about it. If he could pretend to be a beast, like patrolling or like inspecting, and we could potentially use him as a distraction.
It'll keep people's eyes distracted on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea.
Okay. So, in using that, why don't you, Jogu, roll? It sounds like you're trying to trick the guards. Why don't you roll with creativity and see if you're able to trick them by sending out Saffron.
All right, I will. Ooh, 6. Not good.
Okay, a 6. Oh, all right. So, Saffron goes out and kind of steps out, leaving you all kind of in the corner, still hidden, as he makes his way into where, like the section of the swamp. His ankles covered with water, as a lot of the benders are still doing a lot of excavating in that area. Are you waiting for Saffron to? Are you waiting for Saffron to do something, or are you guys gonna just go as soon as you send off Saffron?
I think we're trying to have him go and like cause a commotion, and then maybe when we hear
Saffron,
something.
give us a signal.
Okay, got it. So with the 6, Saffron goes out there, stepping out, and you just hear a bunch of the fire. So there's a bunch of Fire Nation, Earth Nation warriors who are there, who immediately spot Saffron as they turn and go, what is that? Their arms ignite and light up as a couple of them kind of step and raise boulders from the ground as they see this large creature. Saffron just stands there and roars at them, and immediately like, it's a creature, attack! And they just start firing and attacking Saffron, and Saffron is doing his best to dodge. So it's creating a distraction, but Saffron is getting hurt in the process.
Oh my goodness. Okay. As soon as he gets hurt, something happens to me.
What happens to you?
When something hurts him, I immediately take a condition.
Oh my gosh.
How is seeing Saffron being beat up?
He doesn't get a chance to roll or try and
No.
like get a hurt. Okay.
Just happens. Everything that the GM does sort of just happens, and you just play off of it.
Okay. It's made me super angry that they are attacking a wild beast of this space. It's like, they're hurting him. We must do something now.
All right, well, let's get up there quick then. And I make my air scooter just a little bit bigger of a ring, and we kind of like jump onto it and fly off.
Okay. Now, is you making a big enough ring to carry all three of you?
Rua has repeated several times that they would like to remain grounded on this situation.
Okay, got it. So I say it wouldn't be pushing your luck so much to carry two people. So I would say that will be relying on your skills and training. So why don't you go ahead and roll with focus, please.
With focus, okay, I can do that.
There's no way that we can help, or can we help, or...
Oh, you can take a fatigue and help if you want, but you can do it after you see the roll.
Oh, I can take a fatigue and help.
Wouldn't matter anyway. That's a 5.
Oh, God.
So you have a
Not
0 in
great
focus?
start.
I'm sorry, say that again.
You have a
Omar?
0 in focus?
Correct.
A 5.
Oh, I guess that... Well, can I use that roll since that's the actual focus? No, I'm just joking.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was a 5. I just rolled 2d6, but yeah, 0 in focus.
Okay. So we'll say this. So you go ahead and start to spin your arms around and appear on, create the air scooter, grabbing Jogu, and it is just a wild, like, as you try to make your best. You, Rua, you just kind of look up and you just see them scaling because it can scale like mountains basically, but it's not going in the direction they want. It's kind of like
Zing.
Yeah, Zing. You know, like when you're in a bumper cars and you kind of like and you just keep moving around. It's kind of like that. They're just jolting back and forth, and it is not helping in the slightest. What is Rua doing?
Yeah, Rua just lets out like an exasperated. There goes quiet, and
We're just like bouncing up the wall, like
yeah. Is Saffron still kind of getting attacked by? Would it be possible, because Rua is incredibly concerned with getting recognized, getting seen, that if he was to bend a load of mud, like just like a mud wave, at the guards, not necessarily to hit them, but just to kind of maybe like just do kind of a, I don't know, like put maybe even kind of a barrier between Saffron and them.
Sure. You can describe how you're doing this and roll with focus to rely on your skill and training.
So yeah, Rua uses what is known as fox antelope style, and he has two. They're like they're called kua, which are like they're Japanese tools for gardening, but they can't. You can't say you use hoes. He's from a noble family, so he uses kuas, and he just uses them like to dig up the earth, and as he does, it's just sort of he rolls his shoulders and scoops the muck up and sends out kind of just this splash of just dirt at the firebenders and the earthbenders as well. And you said to roll with training.
Yes, relying on your skill and training. So that's rolling with focus.
Okay. A 9.
9. Pretty good. Okay. So if you do this, since you roll a 9, there is going to be a slight consequence on it. So I would say you'll probably end up hitting Saffron a little bit, because it's giving Saffron a fatigue. But you said, Jogu, if Saffron gets a fatigue or gets hit, you take it instead.
No, it says specifically, when something hurts your animal companion, mark a condition.
Locking condition. Okay. Alrighty. So what was the condition you had marked before? Sorry.
Angry.
Angry. Okay. So you go ahead and lift up this wave of mud that they turn around and go, the hell? Ah! As it collapses on them, knocking the fire and Earthbender's back. Unfortunately, Saffron kind of gets hit too. It kind of it kind of gets stuck in the mud and pinned against one of a nearby tree. As you go and see this, Jogu. What condition do you mark off next?
Guilty for putting him into this position.
Counter to what I was trying to do.
I just sort of look back and feel this anger, and I say to Cha, like, get me to the top. We need to bring this thing down.
I'm going as fast as I can. It's not used to 2 people.
You make it all at this point. You make it to the top. The guards haven't noticed you due to this wave that has pushed them down, and you do manage to make it to like the top of this tall wall. Looking down, you can see the mayhem of this muddy battle happening. What do you guys do?
I start pulling at whatever loose soils are there for this like mounded dam of sorts, and I'm kind of depending on Rua to start shaping the wall itself, the dam itself, into like bricks that can be like pulled out with my airbending abilities.
And I will start now that I'm on top and I can see the water that's damming up on the other side. I'm going to try and sort of like push it back, so that way when I release it, it will come and like crash into the wall and help sort of knock the cracks that they're trying to create. So I'm trying to like sort of push it back, so that way it gets like force when it comes.
Awesome. And I feel like this is just basic bending from the two of you. So no need to make any rolls. You just kind of do normal push and pull of a waterbender. Shaha, you are like breaking pieces of the rocks using your airbending one by one. As you start to... The dam is starting to crack and break. As you start to see some of the benders are getting up from their muddy, sticky situation that they're in there. But with the course of these few moments, you push and pull, and there's like a little like, tss, and then you see Rua just like kind of like a stream of water just start to shoot out of the top of it, and another, and this is about to break.
Rua just shouts, "Run!" Up towards Chaha and Jogu, and he's literally just going to wait until he sees they are in the process of getting away from the dam, and as they go to book it, he's going to bury both of his kuwas into the earth and just like along the side of the dam, just again cause those cracks to just widen a bit further, just letting the river do its natural thing now.
Awesome. No need. Yeah, that's a basic just earthbending in there. You kind of step and use your kuwas to carve, and as you do, more of this water is pushing off, and like the force that they're doing combined with yours is really destroying the dam in this section. What are the two of you at the top doing? You can see this is about to go down at any moment.
When actually, I'll turn to Cha and I'll say, "Are you good, or do you need?" I'm going to write it down.
No, I think we're good. We can just get out of here now. I feel like the dam's about to break.
Okay, so when we see at the top that it finally like busts open and water starts to actively flow out, I'd like to grab his hand and create sort of like an ice luge for us to sort of slide down the front of it. And I'd like to create this ice luge towards where Saffron is, because I need to free my companion So I'd like to sort of get ahead of it and use the water to lead us there.
Okay, that's pretty. And like I said, this is all collaborative, so you can, if you don't
Is that a
feel like
rely
it.
on skill
If
and
that would
training?
you be live scheduling, or would that be pushing your luck? That's a very advanced. So that's a good like you're trying to guide and basically maneuver and control with all this mayhem happening because there's a lot of water coming. I would say it would be pushing your luck.
Okay.
It's as long as you're fine with that.
I don't know, because I'm not trying to guide the. I'm not trying to. Was trying to guide the water before. So now, as some is spilling out, I'm trying to just turn that into like an ice luge. So I'm not trying to like control where it goes anymore, since we've established that it's busting out.
Okay.
So that's why I was saying like it's more of making an ice slide.
Okay. Oh, so you're making ice around you, and then you're just sliding with your bare feet or bare
yeah,
bodies.
because we're I don't know, what'd you say, like 30,
30
feet
feet
up
up.
or so. So yeah, I'm trying to make like as the top of the dam is busting out, I'm trying to take some of that water and create like an ice slide to the ground level to where Saffron is.
Okay. All right.
So I'm not trying to control the flow. I'm just trying to make like a luge for us.
Okay. I would say you can rely on your skill and training. Roll with focus.
Okay. Because it's a +1 or a -3. Okay. 8.
Hey, okay. So it's not perfect, but it is a success. So you, Rua, so you're seeing all this as you're running by. You just see this wave crash down as ice is formed around it in a sort of a luge, like a ice tunnel. As the two of you, are you doing it as well, Cha? Are you joining him?
Yeah, and I think I would also probably be pushing my luck as well. Kind of,
Like
using
air pushing us?
Yeah, like I'm kind of like pushing air behind us to like propel us faster.
Ooh, that is risky with the ice. I would say roll a push luck to see if that's gonna. So pushing your luck is a roll with passion. Okay,
So it's
Well,
an
that
8.
ain't that bad.
and yeah, that's still a success. It costs you a little bit, but that's fine. So, here's how I'll say what happens. As Rua, you see this and you make it free. You were down in the bottom. You can get to the side of the swamp without worrying about this. You just see this wave turn into ice as just barely seeing through it. You can look at like the weird like reflections or visions of two people just skating down, and all of a sudden, as Chaha you push, it's like an extra like you turn on the thruster, and it's like. And you kind of bash into Jogu as well as you're like kind of SSX tricky style sliding down, making your way directly towards poor little Saffron. As you go, you slide there. I would say you crash into Saffron from the sheer speed. And even though Saffron is a large creature, just with your extra force, all three of you kind of get pushed off and start tumbling down as the waves start to carry you further downstream, pushing you off to the side. Rua, you're not exactly sure where they went, but for all intents and purposes, you make it out of the scene further in the back as you just hear a bunch of firebenders as they get swept away by this sheer tsunami that pushes past, freeing the dam, the water from the dam that was created. As the water then subsides, and you guys, I would say, both of you take a fatigue.
That seems fair.
Yeah, I guess.
It's intense as to getting hit and all that. Both of you take a fatigue as the three of you, which is the Panther, Peacock, Chaha, and Jogu, end up kind of like in a side area, top corner of the jungle, away from where all the excavating and the fire and earth benders are, and you make it out tired, angry, and guilty. Make it out, destroying the dam, as you can just see just crushing and crumbling rocks fall down. Though, Rua, you are safe and sound on the other side, slightly unaware where your allies may have went. And we'll say that's where the inciting incident ends, and we pick up now. Flashback over. And you guys will start off there. At this point, Jogu and Chaha, you can easily hop onto the Panther Peacock and make your way off. It sniffs its way, finding the familiar smell of Ruha as you culminate or congregate, by a nearby tree far away from where all the action's happening. You can hear the sounds of, at this point, because it took you some time to collect yourselves, of Fire Nation and Earth Nation warriors just going, I don't know, I thought I saw some people. They may not over there. We're under attack. And like their forces are now out searching for you physically. And you all meet once again.
I think that went pretty well.
It went quick.
And your grove is back to its normal spiritual self?
Well, we will have to see. Now that the waters have been reverted to their normal paths, hopefully the healing shoots will continue to thrive.
Rua, you gotta stop your earth-bending friends from making dams like that.
Yeah, sure. I'll just, walk up to Mother and be like, hey, that thing we've done for generations, we should, just stop doing that, like, as of right now. And, I don't know, maybe get into swamp farming, Mother.
Perfect. That sounds so easy.
That does sound like exactly the right move.
Okay. Clearly, neither of you have ever dealt with, her. So, no, you'd more likely to get something out of saffron than you are my mother.
I don't understand why they would want to clear cut this land. It's where the spirits thrive and what allows us to make potions that your people use.
Money. I don't understand. It's not like Mother to backtrack on an agreement. Jogu, I don't understand why she would have. She gave me her word that the grove would be safe. It was off limits.
That's one of where the mother trees are and how the grove propagates. I can't believe that they broke their word. We have to put an end to this. Their profits must be made in other manners.
That's not going to be so easy.
Why not?
There's three of us. There's three of us with limited resources, limited time. Mother and grandfather even have untold access. They have the Fire Nation benders at their whim. What we're doing, and he's going to kind of maybe turn to Jogu. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. But if you want to stop my family from encroaching on this space, we've got to think bigger.
Should we bring it to the leaders of the realms? Or do you think outside politics will only make the situation worse?
Most of these people have an in with my grandfather. They're not going to listen. They're not going to listen to you, Jogu. The words are only a waste of time. Can't you make the swamp spirit, I don't know,
move? No, this has been their century and their home since the beginning of time.
Yeah, but maybe they'd like to relocate. Like lots of farmers that we have to move along are happy to relocate.
Right, but these are different because these are spirits that are connected to a realm beyond. And the physical location manifests their connection to our world. So it's not something that can just be moved or drained. It must be
Well,
preserved.
I would beg to differ. You've seen what they've been doing in the swamp. They can do both of those things, and quite efficiently and quite quickly.
I see that they can is what you're right. I did not mean to imply that they could not do it, but they should not be doing this. It is uh, a sacred space, and this is how we get our powers and our abilities. It's from learning from the spirits that taught us. Do they not remember history?
So it sounds.
Chaha,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah. No, go on.
No, it sounds like to me that Jogu is trying to call out or influence the balance of Rua. So would you say that you're trying to do that, or vice versa? It seems like you both are calling each other out to look a certain way. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, I guess so.
So why don't we have let's see, who's trying to call whom out first?
I guess Rua was calling me out, right? And then I was trying to
Yeah.
deny a call out.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So, as an icon, you are torn between role and freedom. So, where would you say you were trying to call him out?
No. He was calling me out.
Yeah. So he's calling you out to go to be either push it towards role or push you towards your freedom. And
I think he's pushing me towards freedom because my role is protecting these lands in this place. And so he's saying, like, be free spirit, like, move, like, try something else, be different, and I feel like he's trying to shift me that way.
I like that. So, Rua, could you roll for me a call someone out? So the way that works is when you openly call on someone to live up to their principle, which in this case is freedom, shift your balance away from center. So you would shift your balance to either progress or tradition. It sounds and then I would sounds like you're trying to be more in like progress maybe.
Oh, no, I think tradition. He's
Tradition?
trying
Yeah, I
to-
think tradition
Okay,
as well. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay. All right. So you want to shift your balance over towards tradition.
Okay, that puts me back in the middle again.
It does it, or he rolls to see if it happens?
No, it just does it. That's how you initiate the call someone out. And then
Oh.
now you have to do some rolling. So you want to roll on your tradition. So it's going to be 2d6 plus whatever you are at for tradition. Which I guess you're back in the center, so 0. So all you have to do is just to roll a normal, just 2d6.
Okay. Is there an option for that on fantasy? Oh yeah, there is actually. Yeah.
When you grab a die, if you right click, it'll roll 2 dice.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. 2. And that was 8.
An 8. Okay. So on a hit, they are called to act as you say. They must either do it or mark a condition. So now, Jogu, you would have to mark another condition. Remember, you are currently angry and guilty, so you're still feeling those emotions. So your choice is to either do what he is saying or mark a condition. So basically, they challenge your view of the world in turn. Oh no. Well, actually no. Or you either can choose to, since it was a hit, to take a condition or agree with what they're saying.
I thought I was trying to deny a call out though.
Only denying call out only works with NPCs. You can only deny call out.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
You can call them
So-
back out again and do your own call out.
Oh, I see. Angry and afraid, and just seeing Saffron get hurt, and like I'm doing the right thing because I'm upholding my tenets of like overthrowing tyranny, preserving the natural land, but like at what cost? Like one of my most like oldest companions who's been with me forever just was almost killed in this attack. Like we brought down a wall and like destroyed all of the land around it. And yes, it's restoring the downstream effects to it, but I'm upset and worried. So I will say, fine, let's go speak with the elders and see if we can find another solution. But this grove potentially can be maybe it can be relocated or the spirits can move, but I think we're being foolish. But if that's what you want, then let us go, and I'll just sort of like give in, even though I know that it's foolish and not exactly what he would do. He's just so overcome that he'll agree, or I'll agree.
Okay. Awesome. So I made one slight mistake, but that's totally fine. Technically, he has to roll using your +1 towards, or using your -1 towards freedom, because he's trying to push you towards freedom. So he has to use your freedom. So that would be a 7, which will still hit. But just so I have the terminology correctly,
It would be a 6 actually, because he has a +1. So, and going sort of a +1 would be a -1.
Oh yes. So my mistake. All right, so let's rewind that. I'm really sorry. Still new learning the game. So it would be a 6. So actually, on the 6, it would be that instead, you don't actually have to agree with him, and you can demand one of him to act a certain way according to his principle. And if he does not want to, he can choose to take a condition, or he has to act as you request. So I'm sorry, it's actually flipped.
Oh, it's actually tables turned, bitch.
The tables have turned. No. I'm so sorry. I read it wrong. The tables have turned. So
the
yes.
the tables have turned, bitch. Actually, I feel like this works narratively better. So you're gonna. I feel like as Rua sort of like says, just like move the groves, and I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's just move where the spirits are. Don't be ridiculous. Like this is where nature and spirits and energy comes to flow, and we bring the life. Like this is a tradition that is built on ill omen. The foundation of everything that your family, your mother, your grandfather have done has only been built on lies and the stealing of land and space from others. And if you are to own this business and to be from this family, then you should set the tone moving forward and change your ways. And I'll try and like convince to push him away from his tradition into the other one. What is the other column? I forget. Progress.
Okay.
And in this situation, I deem progress as like progress.
No, totally. So now, Rua, you can either mark a condition, like his words affected you in one of the angry, afraid, foolish, guilty, or insecure, or you have to act as he requests. The choice is yours.
Rua knew the answer. Like it was, I think, pulling kind of the part line, but he will do as Jogo has, because it makes more sense. Like it's worth at least trying to make his family see reason, and maybe as terrifying as it is, he's going to have to finally confront, or at least speak up and against them.
Okay. So how does he express this towards Jogu?
I think it's just going to be, he's going to stand there, kind of just having kind of spoken to Jogo and kind of saying, we'll just move it. He knew you just can't move this space. It's not a small plot of land that a farmer is growing pumpkins on. This is a huge ecosystem. It is just it is just as part of the Earth Kingdom as the mountains are. So he's going to stand there, let Jogo, I guess, berate him, or berate the scenario, but Rua is the focus for it, and just sort of maybe slump down a little bit and just, you're right. You're right. This place, it's important, and we were the ones that came here. We're the ones that should go back. We'll take it to them. We'll take it to mother and grandfather, and we'll convince them to stop.
Alrighty.
He's deathly pale.
Alrighty.
Would this Oh no, I guess not. I was gonna say, would this like lashing out clear my anger condition or no?
I would say, yeah, you were lashing out to him, you know, and change his inner balance. I would say yes. Your anger, just you lashing out at him about this. You let loose this anger and calm down. Finally, you can erase the angry condition, so you no longer get -2 to your comfort or support or assessing the situation.
Oh, thank you.
You still feel guilty though about
Still feel guilty.
as you look
Yep.
over and see Saffron just like he's a little injured, a little bit.
Yeah.
Preening all the mud.
Right.
But this beautiful peacock feathers sprawled out, but like kind of put in now that he's kind of like in a shallow, fearful sense. His wings are kind of all like together and contracted. But with that being said, what else would you wish to do? You currently are the sounds of the nation, of the fire and the earth nation looking for you seems to subside, and you kind of are free right now. There's this, you have your people that you can go to if you want to, Jogu, or the other clans and tribes that live in this foggy swamp, or you can head back, or whatever else you would like to do. The choice is yours.
I don't know. What would our next move be? I guess we would say we should rest up and plan our next moves. Is it I don't assume that your family are here, Rua.
Oh
Would
no,
we need to travel, or what do you think?
mother is at the base camp. She's overseeing it. So, but I do think resting first. Yeah, definitely that before we address it with her. Oh, she's going to be in such a mood after the jam. Okay. Yeah. I can bring you to the base camp. I can say that Jogo, you are there to parlay the current situation, and Chaha, you're there as a independent
Third-party inspector.
Precisely. Maybe we oughta, and Rua's gonna take a step back and just kind of survey the fact that everybody's covered in muck and dirt. Look a little more official, I guess. And that's a thing that I have as one of my moves.
Ooh.
I can walk this way.
This way.
Yes, he full on just breaks out into it. But it's when you make over disguise and or coach your friends to fit in with a specific crowd appropriate to one of your backgrounds, roll with creativity. I'm going to try and make the pair of you educated snobs to be able to deal with my mother, or at least, gain an audience with the overseer of the the project.
Yeah.
We're doomed.
Go ahead and roll for creativity.
Okay. And again, just 2d6.
Yes. Plus your whatever your creativity stat.
Okay. Go away. I'm on a Mac, so whenever you right click, it's the worst. There we go. Okay. That's hang on. There is a weird bonus. No, roll wicket. That's just a 6.
Are you rolling it in the box? I don't see it.
Oh well, then maybe I should roll it again.
We'll call it canted. Roll again. It didn't roll in the box. It don't count.
Are you? Oh, there we go. Oh, that's much better.
Oh, that's a 9. Yeah, that's a 9. Yeah, that's way better.
A 9? Oh yeah, totally. So you guys spend a little bit downtime, not enough because you need a full night's rest, like a long rest of sorts to get rid of any fatigue. But you could spend a little bit of time at least to doll them up and teach them the ways of being a snob in the Earth Kingdom. And I would say, if you want to, as you're doing this, if you want to heal up, you can also guide and comfort, if you would like, if you want to roll me that to get rid of some of that fatigue that, unfortunately, Jogu is suffering from right now.
That is not something I'm particularly good at, but we can give it a go. It's more of a there. Emotions are for poor people, apparently.
Emotions are for poor people.
Okay. Oh, they're definitely for poor people. That's a 1.
On a 2d6, you roll a 1.
I roll a 1.
Okay, so let me make sure there's. Let's see.
I think I've been responsible for most of your conditions as well at this stage.
Seriously.
Okay, yeah, so nothing happens. So, all right, so go ahead and play out the fiction of how are you dolling them up and then your attempt to unfortunately guide and comfort them. Or to say him.
So I think one of the first things I'm going to do is just earthbend a lot of the dirt out of their clothes. He's just going to remove any muck and then proceed to ask Jogo to pull out any of the stinky swamp water and then have Chaha airbend us so that we're all kind of dry. We have to look the part, so he's going to just start with just kind of getting them to smarten themselves up a little bit. So P's and Q's, you will address her as Lady Wu Mei, and or the Overseer. Either of those two titles. Never Mother, especially in front of other employees and or staff. And just
what do you call her then?
Overseer or
Weird.
Lady Wu Mei. Why? What do you?
I mean, she's your mother. I would just call your mother.
Maybe when she's in a good mood.
I'll stick to Overseer then.
Probably for the best. Chaha. Big words. The biggest words that you possibly know. Just throw them out. Ostentatiously. That's a word you could use. You can have one of those.
Ostentatiously.
Yes, and
okay.
Do sound out every syllable.
All right, let me practice really quick. Ostentatiously.
Yeah, that's gonna have to do. Jogu, about the, and he's gonna point down at the lily pads that you're wearing as sandals.
Yes. So anything? Should I get fresh ones?
Yes. Maybe ones that kind of cover the whole foot. Like a lily pad shoe.
Do you have wraps? Linen wraps?
We could probably. Yeah, you know what? The lily pad is good. I don't really think the overseer would appreciate you trekking in filthy linen wraps. The lily pads are, it's your tribe, it's your garb. Who am I to ask you to drop that now? You just get fresh ones. Just get nice, clean, fresh ones. Um, don't look her in the eye. She sees it as a threat. Um,
Do we look at her like nose?
uh,
Her lip?
uh, just kind
Should
of chin. Just
Chin.
her general chin, but don't comment on the chin. She's a tiny little scar. Uh, um, Saffron's going to have to stay outside. She's highly allergic to animals, um, all of them, and uh, uh, stiff back the whole way. You really just don't want to have any sort of fluidity in your movements.
I'm gonna like start
I'm
to
gonna have a
move
problem
like
with that.
I'm gonna like start to move like the Q Wop man. That's not
Excellent.
really
Yeah.
my style, but we'll try.
Look, it's just to get in there. It's just to be able to have a conversation with her. Okay, and I will.
Does she not? You said she respects status, right?
She does. She does. She also has to acknowledge the status, and yeah, you're beloved by your people. You can be.
I'm being honest in my position and my station. Perhaps I was just considering if she would, hear reason from someone outside her clan.
There's always a first.
It's worth a shot, I believe.
Yes, it is. We are definitely we are doing this, correct? No, we're 100%. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, it's worth a shot. You're right, Jogo. It's yeah.
She's not going to try and like imprison us, will she?
No, she hasn't done that since my 13th birthday. So no, we should be okay.
All right, then I think that we should be fine then.
Yep. There's no need for a backup plan.
Okay. I am going to say it sounds like Rua is feeling pretty anxious and maybe insecure about this. I would like to play a condition on you, the insecure condition, as you're stepping into this, meaning you will get a -2 on your pleads and on your rely on your skills and training until it is alleviated.
Fitting, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll do.
Okay. So Rua gives you this plan, and you all seem to be ready as you're dolled up, not comforted, unfortunately. He's dealing with his own issues as you prepare and make your way, and we'll continue the scene. You cut through the forest. You can hear the sounds of the local fauna and the strange spirit animals that inhabit this forest. You can see like strange blue bunnies hopping around and disappearing into the shadows after seeing you. And Jogu, you just know this as the normal inhabitants of this mystic forest that are in and out. The vines tend to move on their own every so often, and you being an inhabitant of here, it parts for you. You and your allies, knowing your intention and your love of this mystic space. Eventually, though, the ground turns from that muddy, swampy feel to being look more excavated. There are roads now, and and you may feel some type of way seeing it go from just natural to more industrial like worked areas. As you step in, a clearing of trees are just gone. You can just see just the stumps and tents that are collecting around a wooden perimeter with smoke popping out of it, like this pollution coming into the air, with several Fire Nation and Earth Nation warriors kind of out on the front post, kind of surveying the area. How are you approaching this place?
I'd say just march straight through.
Confidently? Like we own it?
No. Yes.
Isn't
'Cause we
this
do,
your
I mean,
station?
I do, yeah. And Rua is gonna like just kind of puff his chest up a little bit and just kind of, yep.
I think that you should be confident here. This is your home and your family's like land and space, and it is completely within your purview to discuss and decide what happens. Don't feel so out of your depth.
Ooh, sounds like you're trying to guide and comfort him.
I am.
Maybe get rid of that insecurity. Go ahead and roll me for harmony, please.
All right. I'm good at this. Not right now, I'm not, though.
Someone could help him to get that +1 if you want. Does anyone
I'll
wish
help.
to
How do I help?
Right, Cha?
How do you help, Chaha? Yes, you tell me. There's nothing you need to roll or anything. It just happens. But how do you role play it? Or role pay it?
I take my finger and I swirl it around a little bit and kind of just have the perfect amount of wind, making his clothes look a little bit more flowy and elegant, and as he takes his steps to try to walk more confidently, I kind of lift him ever so slightly to make it look like he's walking on air.
Awesome, awesome. You feel an extra lift, just to Rua or to Jogu, sorry.
To both, as they're practicing with each other to like show I picture Rua is like trying to show Jogu how to properly like walk like an aristocrat, and I just like imagine this like catwalk scenario where they're like modeling each other and it's just like this perfect amount of wind to get like the hair wisping just right, or like the clothes flowing in just the right light or whatever.
Perfect. You're providing extra confidence in the
Yeah.
two of them, and especially in Rua, who is feeling this insecurity, bringing that up to a 7. So you can have two choices, Arua. You can embrace the guide and comfort and clear a condition or 2 fatigue, and you I would say, Jogu, you can ask one question of Rua, and he has to answer truthfully, or you can shut him down. You cannot accept it, Rua, and you can just shift your take another condition on top of the insecurity, and you then go ahead and shift your balance accordingly. The choice is yours.
No, he's definitely going to take it. Like he's going to take the kind of the comfort that Jogu is kind of providing. It's kind of like Jogu's idea, like it's like the right thing to do, so he's gonna do that. And the wind kind of rustling around him does give him that sort of like, oh yeah, you know, nature's got my back now too, so this is definitely the right thing we're doing.
I think it says they clear the condition, and then they may ask one question that you must answer honestly. So like, as I comfort him, he can respond by asking me a question since he's accepted my advice. So, right? Am I reading it wrong?
Yeah, no, as in you. So it says you're doing it. So they, it says you may ask one question. They must answer correctly. So you are comforting him, and then you're like, let me ask you a question, and Ruha has to then answer truthfully.
Oh, I see.
So you get an
Okay.
extra bonus. Not only do you help them minus their fatigue, but now you get some lore out of them or whatever you would like.
We sort of like puff him up and make him feel strong and say, you are strong. And it doesn't necessarily need to be in this field. If you don't want to be a landowner and you don't want to do this, you can be something else. What do you want to do?
What just kind of like, I think, kind of caught off guard, or like, and like in the best possible way, being caught off guard. That's sort of like that kind of vulnerability that comes with, a friend.
Like someone who cares about you asking
Yeah,
a
I really want to garden. Like, I really just want to grow plants, flowers. And he's kind of a little embarrassed as he says it out loud.
No, that's nothing to be embarrassed about. That's so you and I are in alignment. We make things grow and flourish. There's nothing wrong with that.
Maybe in a more kind of, and he kind of looks around, organized kind of way, perhaps. But no, yeah, definitely. You do what you do, and I would like to do that as well. Just
Listen, creating niche herbal supplements to help heal the sick and wounded is just as valuable as creating food en masse for those whom live in cities and in larger villages. There's nothing wrong with that. Growing and cultivating a garden is a fantastic endeavor.
yeah, that's what my grandmother said before.
Your grandmother sounds smart.
All right.
Yeah, she was. And I think he's just gonna, like, with kind of what Jogu had said, and then Chaha kind of like affirming it, and him remembering his grandmother, he is a lot more confident in himself. Because she was a smart old lady, and yeah, he's gonna walk into the camp a bit more upright and a bit more, a lot more confident.
All right. So with that, boosting that comfort and guided from your allies all through Rua, you take lead with everyone with confidence, walking in as you start to see the entryway get larger and larger, and the Fire Nation and Earth Nation guards take notice. And as you step forward and prepare to interact with them, why don't we take a quick 5-minute break?
Yay!
All right.
All right, so we are going to take a little 5-minute break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back, and we'll go on the second half of, let's see how they interact and if something goes down, or maybe we'll have a peaceful talk. We don't know. So we will find out shortly. So stay tuned. See you in a few minutes.
Stay tuned.
And we are back. Hello, everyone. Hope you had a nice, good break. We certainly did.
Our bladders are fully relieved now.
And new rehydrating.
I was gonna make a joke about water bending, but I was like, nah, don't.
Alrighty. I was having a weird thing with the music just now.
Oh.
Apparently, I opened up 2 copies of it, and it was playing double in my ear, which was really messing me up. Okay. Alrighty, so we're back. So, welcome back, everyone. Let's remove the bookmark and continue our tale. So... You are all currently walking up to this Earth Kingdom, this noble family encampment inhabited by Earth Kingdom members and Fire Nation members. As you step forward, dressed as clean as you can be. I mean, your entire outfit hasn't changed. You're still in foggy water swamp gear, and Chaha, you're still in your normal roguish airbender gear. But you do present and exude this sense of pompousness or noble, let's say nobility to be nice, as you strut up towards several of Fire Nation guards. They have, the Fire Nation seems to have been hired more as like the guard duty as well as clearing the land, as 3 Fire Nation soldiers dressed up in their metallic armor. They have spikes coming out, and they're just colors of like blood red tied into their leather armor and their chainmail, as their faces completely covered with a skull-like symbol. 2 of them step up and kind of meet you halfway before you get to this large, like wooden spiked doorway that would be the entryway to the encampment. Hold on there. Who? Oh, Master Rua, I apologize. I did not know it was you. One of them says, coming up to you. What brings you here? There's rumors of insurrectionists and terrorists who are destroying what we're trying to create. The dam was just destroyed not too long ago. You should come inside and he looks at the rest of them, the rest of you guys. Guests of yours?
They are here to see the overseer.
I'll step up and say, we're not just guests, we are representatives.
And inspectors.
Sounds like you're trying to trick and deceive this guard. So I would say one of you, you all kind of jump in there, maybe Rua or maybe even Jogu. Go ahead, you can go ahead and roll for passion, I believe, for trick. Let me actually just make sure. Creativity, sorry, you roll with creativity for trick.
Is it a trick though?
Any type of deception and all that, you're definitely not. You're putting on this kind of.
I guess so. Okay.
Do you want to roll?
Not me.
Oh, I'll roll, I guess. Unless.
Can I give a +1?
You all can help. You can stack help too, so you can rely on one person talking, and I'm going to need to hear it though, as you try to like put on the show for the guards, or just kind of like explain this.
Yeah, I have a +2 to creativity, so I could potentially be the person to do this.
Okay, I will. As you know, they recognize Rua, and he says we're guests. I look towards Cha and I say, we're not just guests, and I will take a step forward and take like a water pose, and I will have Saffron, I'll snap my fingers and have Saffron floof their tail out to like display and shake their feathers, and I'll say, I am Jogu, the Preserver, representative of the Foggy Swamp Water Tribe, and I here with my companion, Chaha.
Okay.
And give you a moment to like explain yourself too.
Should I roll first or role play first?
You can roll first and then role play as such.
Okay, so do I get the +1 for the help?
Are you also helping Rua?
I think Rua's going to wait and see how it plays out, and then if he has to step in, then as sort of a I've started it, they've taken over, and now he'll pull an ace out of his sleeve if he has to.
Sure, and actually, yes, you could always choose to help after you see the roll. I should mention that.
Okay.
So go right ahead and roll me that trick, please.
Okay, so is that a +1 from Jogu or?
Yes, right now it'll be a +1 from Jogu. Possibly another one from Rua if needed.
Okay, cool.
Ooh.
That is a 12.
Or 12. So you get to pick 2 of this. They, and we'll say the guards in general, they stumble. They take, you get +1 on your next roll for something against this whole ruse, or towards this ruse. They act foolish, meaning that the guards will give you another opportunity to do something within this scenario, as well, or they are just completely deceived the entire time and will aid you as much as they can in your lie.
I'm going to say, so this is what I'm going to do. I happened to be in the area inspecting some of the other channels that the Fire Nation has been building, and making sure the wind patterns aren't being affected for the birds. They are quite rare in this region, you see. And I have to say that I am here to report on the dam breaking as an inspector of such things. That is what I need to talk to the overseer about, and how terrible and catastrophic, and who's going to be paying for all of the washed out cabbages and protecting of these endangered birds habitats. So with that, I'm going to have them act foolishly as I rebuke them for all these terrible things that have just happened under their watch, and then also have them overcommit, hoping for a good entrance from them as they let us through, kind of thing, and announce us.
Awesome. The one Fire Nation guard goes, oh, of course. Master Rua, I didn't know you brought such experts with you and an ambassador for him. But this should probably help us excavate even faster. I have heard that lots of tribesmen have been getting in our way. Oh, excellent. I will personally escort you myself inside. I'm sure Lady Wu Mei the overseer, would love to hear this good news, because she is not happy. Come, follow me. Open the gates, and they go ahead and start pulling up, and you see the wooden pikes lift up, allowing you vision inside of the encampment. And there are several tents that are now also in the inside, probably where all the bureaucrats stay and they do their planning. The first thing that you hear as soon as you open it up, you see an upset Earth Nation gentleman with a small little circular hat and a green and brown kind of tunic, who just is crying, "They washed away my cabbages! It washed away my cabbages!" As you
I kind of side discuss next to the fire guard, Fire Nation guard, and I say, "I told you the cabbages were important, see?"
And he's just being consoled. They're like, "Yeah, there, my cabbages." As you kind of walk past it and now see this large encampment with the many different tents all around. You see Jogu, that what used to be just swampland is now just paved road. Completely changed and altered in a sense that I would say I won't give you a condition, but it does hurt a lot to see it in this sense.
You just, as my companions, if they look over, you could see the shock and horror in his face as his jaw is agape, looking at this land that he used to frolic and run through and remember like his people cultivating specific things here that is now packed earth and kiln fired clay stacked in a pattern, unnatural patterns that just
Logs that are going to be used for fires and
just disgust.
And you see that. You see collection of logs that have been from all the cut down tree stumps that you saw before being tied up and looks like they're being packed to be sent to different places, destinations. You're not entirely sure. As the Fire Nation guard continues to walk, he eventually goes to this large tent, much triple the size of all the other ones, garnished with golds and greens. You see written on the top in a beautiful cursive filigree, almost a sign, a banner that reads Wu Mei on the top of it, and like the tarp. The beautiful curtain tarp is closed in the front as the guard steps forward and opens it up and speaks inside. Lady Overseer, Rua has returned with ambassadors and an inspector to aid. What? Fine. Send him in. Maybe he knows exactly what happened with the dam. As you hear your mother, Rua, very upset sounding, or probably normal voiced.
Yeah, normal.
On the inside.
Rua is going to just bow his head and then kind of look at the other two and just be like, bow your heads as we go in.
I will do as instructed and as we were taught earlier and follow Rua's lead.
Okay. So you all follow Rua's lead and walk inside. The interior is lit by what seems to be a sconce that's set off to the side. There is a table, what looks to be a long mat spread across it, and like figurines, some sort of like display of some kind. And just by briefly looking at it, you can tell that it looks to be like a design for what is to come of this entire swamp. They're standing in a beautiful kimono stretching down to her ankles with long earrings of gold, and her face perfectly make-upped, in this glowing with brilliance. And her standing on not heels but almost clogs of like shoes that make her seem a lot taller than she is, as she has her hands inside of her sleeves, is the overseer and mother of Rua, Lady Wu Mei. As she turns around and she goes, "You are dismissed," to the guard, who bows and walks out. Hello there. What do I owe the pleasure of your appearance, Rua?
Lady Wu Mei, I have brought with me, and he's just kind of like turn his body slightly to the left. Jogu, the preserver for the Foggy Swamp Water tribe, as an emissary for his people, and he's going to turn to his right. Chaha, an air inspector, because there are complications, Madam Overseer, with the project. Unforeseen, almost improbable, and certainly not attributed to the management of the project, but and he's gonna turn to Jogu. All the same, the locals wish to have their voices heard, and he's gonna lower his head incredibly low as he says that.
I'm sorry, Rua. I didn't quite hear you. You said locals want what?
The voices to be heard.
I will take a step forward and I will say, we wish to have our voices heard. You have broken the treaty size. We had an agreement. And we are willing to let these grievances go should we negotiate on fair ground moving forward. We require equal footing on this earth and swamp.
Go ahead and roll me. Go ahead and... Sounds like you're pleading, or are you intimidating her?
I'm pleading with her at first.
Okay.
It sounds a little like it could potentially be intimidating, but I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to come from like I am here, I am part of these people, and like to, you know, probably much to Rua's chagrin, I actually did bring in Saffron with me. They're standing like off to the side,
God.
like near a pillar though.
Oh.
They're not like, they're like sort of in the backish, but I'm like, we're here, like we're part of you know, this land and we're protectors. So like maybe it was a mistake. We're willing to let this go, you know, because that's actually part of my my burden and tradition and part of my responsibilities. And one of them I've chosen is never withholding forgiveness. So if she's earnestly going to work with us moving forward, I would let it go. So that's why I'm trying to plead with her first.
Okay. Go ahead and roll with, what is plead? Harmony, please.
Harmony. Ooh. 7.
That's 7. Okay. Now, normally, a 7 would... They would need something more. Something like... They're not convinced on a 7 to 9. But the fact that you've brought in Saffron, she just goes... Out, like, what the hell is that? Get it out. Get it out! And she takes up a handkerchief and kind of covers her nose. If you think that I'm going to be dealing with any of you backwatered swamp dwellers, you are sorely mistaken. Look, I saw your first plead, if you want to call that a treaty of some kind, and she backs up a little bit, but we did not agree to that. This land is underneath the jurisdiction of the Earth Kingdom, and you have no right. So, I appreciate that you have come here to discuss terms, but the terms have already been written, so unfortunately, I'll have to ask you to leave, and though we originally may have agreed to keep at a certain distance, that was in agreement with Ruha, but as you can see, he is not as experienced as he should be. We will be taking all of the land properly decreed by the Earth King. Thank you. Is there something in your throat, Airbender?
I was afraid that you would say that, and unfortunately it has now come to this.
Come to what?
As an inspector from the Air Kingdoms on the air quality as well as the sanctity and harmony of the wild species growing in the air, land, and sea, I'm going to have to demand on behalf of the entire Southern Air Temple that that you declare this valley a sacred space for the birds in the area. you will need to cease all operations and cancel all contracts with the Fire Nation. It has been demanded.
Are
And
you?
I'm trying to intimidate and also goad her into like just like cutting this agreement with the Fire Nation completely. Using my "is this the best you got" move.
Ooh. So how does the "is this the best you got" work?
So I'm trying to provoke or goad uh, Rua's mother into kind of acting a little foolishly and just like rip up the contract she has with the Fire Nation, getting them out of the area completely, which is ultimately my goal because I see them consolidating power. Um, so I have to roll a roll of passion, and I told you what I want you to do. I want you to tell the Fire Nation to pack up their bags and leave, and like declare this protected land, basically. And on a 10 plus, you do it. On a 7 to 9, you choose to do one of these other things instead, and I can list those to you depending on how I roll.
Okay. So you don't have to do intimidation. Instead, you're doing this ability.
Yeah, I figure it's like in the same line as an intimidation because they're both under passion.
Yeah,
So
in the flavor of. Okay, go ahead and roll for
yeah,
passion then. Or roll with passion, I should say. Ooh,
that's a 9.
And on a 7, on a hit, what does it say to do exactly?
On a 7 to 9, choose one of one of these instead. They do it, but more intensely than expected. I'm taken off guard. They do it, but more carefully than I expected. They gain an advantage against me. They don't do it, but they embarrass themselves. They mark a condition. They don't do it, but only catch themselves at the last minute. They stumble and give you an opportunity.
I would think that she's pretty adamant on here, and her mind is not easily swayed. Though hearing that, and then no one knows much about the airbenders other than they are just nomads who go around, not gonna say policing, but guiding everyone. To hear one to come coming over here, to hear that one has come here, startles her. And she goes, "Look, I don't wish to have. Oh God, get that damn animal out of. I don't wish to have any issues with the air nomads, but your jurisdiction does not cover what has been decreed by the Earth King. Look. I will. How about this? I will give your people time to leave safely. How's 24 hours? That should give the air enough time to purify. We'll be more careful and we'll try to be conscious about what we destroy. But in the end, this entire land will belong to me. That sound fair?
As the overseer says this, and then and with her kind of reiterating the same thing that Rua had said to Jagu in the swamp earlier, he gets kind of a brainwave, and kind of also forgets where he is for a moment because something that, and he's upset that it was Chaha that said it, but something that Chaha said has given him just that sort of click. And he completely forgets himself. Mother, why don't we broker a deal with the air nomads? You know that grandfather has wanted to develop relations with them, and we have an opportunity. You have an opportunity that really nobody else in the family has been presented with. And this is something that, and he kind of leans in a little bit, and he kind of bumps the table, like he kind of like wants to knock some of the little setup out of the way. Makes this project, you know, pointless. I mean, brokering trade relations with the air nomads, people who go everywhere. There could be grandfather's eyes and ears on the wind, and also the views. He's now starting to kind of like stumble through it, but think about it. And Marigold would have a conniption. Several.
Sounds like are you trying to call upon one of her convictions, perhaps, her principles?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then so when in terms of trying to affect an NPC's convictions, you kind of have to guess what they are. But you have a good sense of what you know your mother. You have a good sense. So I would say, and we would discuss it together, she would be torn between, let's say, I guess progress is a good one too, because she also wants it. She's almost like you with a successor in the sense where she's taking over this business. So she's more towards progress than tradition, as she always wants to, or would it be the other way around? She's for destroying basically everything for the built to build the empire of your family together. I guess,
Yeah.
would that be more tradition?
Like a traditional expansionist versus
Yes.
a progressive deal maker.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. So she's more towards tradition. So you're trying to get her towards progress so she can see the errors of her ways and grow. So why don't you go ahead and call her out to act towards one of these, and to do so, I would say right now. So she is currently at a +2 to tradition. So you're a -2 to her progress. So go ahead and roll 2d6s with a -2 to see if you can get her to see things your way.
Was there any specific condition that she got for
Yes.
what I did?
She got foolish because she's so right now any tricking her, she can't trick you and she can't resist this.
Okay.
Ugh.
That looks very canted to
Oh
me.
my
I'm
god,
just
that looks like
saying.
a 5 and a 3 to me.
I mean the digital dice.
The digital dice were canted and wrong. I mean,
Canted
that's
and
it.
wrong.
Yeah, clearly.
That was a reroll for sure.
Okay, so you go ahead and speak to her, and unfortunately a 6. She will.
Does she get the -2 to resisting a balance?
She's not trying to resist. It would just have you don't succeed in the initial portion. She would have resisted had you succeeded, and then she would have had a minus. But since we don't have to go there, I'm just gonna pick the right balance move. Here we are. All right, so
She's gonna lash out and attack us.
she turns to you. Listen, Rua, you are young. You know nothing of how things works in our business, yet you're supposed to. You disappoint me. You are of the Wu Mei. Your grandfather is old and loses himself. He doesn't know the true tradition of our ways, of our grand house. We are also in line, if need be, to rule the Earth Kingdom itself. Do you forget your place, Rua? And she's going to call you out instead and try to shift you, Rua, towards tradition instead of progress.
Yeah, it's feasible to resist that, like, or to deny her calling me out.
Yes. So when NPCs do it, it just happens. But you can counter it by denying a call out.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna make that effort.
All right. So when you deny an NPC calling you out, you deliver your principle. You roll with that principle on a. So you are now. So they're calling you out to go to tradition. So now you roll with tradition. So let's do that first.
Okay. Whoop.
A 9.
9.
Okay. And any bonuses? Are you in the tradition?
No, I'm smack in the middle.
All right. So, on a hit, which that is, you act as they say, or you mark 1 fatigue.
I'll take the fatigue.
Okay. So go ahead and mark down 1 fatigue as she goes, "Come back. Just forget your friends. It was a pleasure meeting you, but Rua tends to forget his station. Come there and let's make our next plans. The dam, there are currently some type of renegades who are attacking our dams. Why don't you help me find them? You both are dismissed. Thank you, I've heard your words, but that's all that is needed."
No.
No, go for it.
No, what were you gonna do? I want to see how you're gonna respond.
I think Rua is just going to kind of like as Lady Wume dismisses the others, he's going to turn to the door and just slam it shut with no. No, they're not dismissed, Mother. And no, this isn't over. You found them. You found the renegades. You found all 3 of them.
And I'm gonna push my luck.
How do you
Now
do
that we
so?
have made this a very risky situation. And I'm like, the wind in my heart has erupted into almost a gale as I am awakened and energized by what Rua has done by slamming that door and taking a stand. And falling into this passion and relying on to my newfound friend here, I want to just say that you speak of ruling your kingdom, your entire nation, yet you are so blind to what the Fire Nation is doing. What do you think they're doing with all of this wood? What do you think they're doing while you're not watching them strip away your resources? They are amassing an army. And you will rue the day that you failed to listen to the Air Nation and fell for the Fire Nation's folly.
She looks at you, her face stern and strong. She peers daggers into your eyes.
When your people fall sick, what medicines do you give them? What herbs and elixirs do you provide them? The way that you heal your people are with the land that you look to destroy.
So Chaha, you rolled a 9 for your push your luck. Yeah, I would say.
Do I get any other bonus for, being invigorated by the friendship of Rua and his words that got me to start talking?
I would say that Rua, or since Jogu just stepped in as well, you can get help from them. That could be a free help, raising it to a 10.
Because that would get me to a 10, which makes it a success.
Sure, it's up to them.
Yeah, I think Rua would help for a fatigue.
Okay. So you go every time you help, you do have the mark of fatigue. So Rua, you can go ahead and take that. You don't have to, Jogu, unless you want to.
Yeah, I did, so I will.
All right. So take a fatigue, please. All right, there. So you were pushing your luck on there. All right. Let me
Like gloves are off. Announce that we're the people messing with the Fire Nation. And I'm just laying my cards on the table and like kind of saying what I had overheard from Master Udron, which is my whole reason for being out here.
Okay. How's this? She looks over to you with your 10 as a crit, so it pays off. She looks on over after hearing the story, this admission of this, and she, for a moment, or I should say, it shocks you so much, Rua. Your mother, this stern woman who stands there with this intense look and face, her shoulders fall down, her eyes become heavy, and you see there's a look of fear in a moment as she turns to you. She gets closer to you. Like, try to stay far away from the panther peacock as possible, but then walks up to the rest of you and bends down as she stands tall with her almost platform shoes. I know what the Fire Nation is planning. They are the financial backers of this project, but there is nothing that I can do about it. They're planning something I don't know. Frankly, it's none of my business. The Fire Nation is powerful, and without their care, without their money, our family, as she turns and looks over Rua, are nothing. We have lost everything, Rua. We depend on the Fire Nation. And whatever they're planning, if we want to make sure that we come out on top, we need to supply the jungle to them. Or what else can we do? She looks back, making sure none of the Fire Nation soldiers are talking behind her. Or listening, behind her. She opens up the flap a little bit and closes it again. You know not where you tread.
You would sell our family's principles and convictions for what? A false pretense of power that you are barely clinging to? That's not the Wu Mei family, Mother.
Roll me another call out. Now, this is another big call out. So once again, you're calling her out to push to that progress. Go ahead and roll. So she's still far back, but I would say still with a -2. Go ahead and roll that. But I feel like, and if you guys want to help, it will push another fatigue. But you all can add to this as well to see if you could get her to finally move. Oh damn.
I'll still help. I mean,
well, that's an 8 because she is -2. So you helping will be a 9.
Yeah.
Do we need it to be a 10 though for it to count? I mean, I will.
I feel like this is our one-shot big bad encounter. We're just doing like a verbal fight instead of a physical one.
Can I ask, how fatigued is Ruha and Cha? Like, how fatigued do you guys look in this moment?
This is my second fatigue before I start to say something.
Yeah, I'm on 2 out of my 5 as well.
Okay. Let me know if I could do this, if this makes sense. So from the battle and fighting before, I'm going to try and help him by using my refresh ability. And I'd like to pull out my little vial that I keep around my neck. So normally I keep swamp water around me, but I have a clear little vial, and I pull that out, and I would say, this is what you're trying to destroy. This is the essence of this land and these people. It is what we're made of and what invigorates us and heals us. And as I say that, I'd like to pull and stretch that pristine, bright water and sort of splash it blessingly over Ruha and it will clear an appropriate status and clear 3 fatigues or 2 conditions. So all of his worries and the trauma that we went through earlier sort of washes away.
So you feel that aid, that clearing away the intense fatigue that you have as you go ahead and bend the water element of healing onto Ruha. As so I would say mark of fatigue if you wanted to help and bring that to a 10, or if not, we can keep it at a 9.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to use my ability to show this is what you're helping destroy.
Yeah, and
Sort
I
of
would
have
like
a moment, you know what I mean?
yeah, and to make sure that it gets to a 10, I would like to just add
Yeah. So go ahead.
you may think that these marriages and power structures are going to just keep the Fire Nation at bay. But they're an uncontrollable flame, and they're going to scorch this entire planet. All 4 nations will get burned by their machinations.
So with that fatigue and bringing it to a 10, she looks shaken to her core, hearing these words from her son and these 2 allies who are defending this jungle, this swamp. She seems to drop all facades and becomes more human-like, more like a normal person, not this matriarch, but an actual citizen of the world of the 4 nations. Do you honestly think that we can put a stop to the plans of the Fire Nation? Do you think that we can stop them? If so, I'll have my trust in you, son. Silently calling you that after just referring to you by your first name, Rua. All right then. I don't know how, but I'll do what I can to see if I can put a stop to the Fire Nation's plans. You're right. As you push Shifter over to the edge of progress. NPCs don't have as big of a bar as you guys do. So you push her kind of over the edge to the progress. You see she understands the error in her ways. I'll see what I can do. I'll send, maybe I'll make something up. I'll forge a document or say that what we found here was detrimental to our mission. I'll come up with something. The flap opens up. You hear the sounds of chainmail being rattled as stepping inside behind you is a tall man, extremely muscular, bald head with a long black beard. He is garbed in Fire Nation colors and has like two metallic like bands around his arm, like bracers, as he goes, "Now, Wume, did I hear that you wish to put a stop to our expansion here in the foggy swamp? The Fire Lord will be very upset at your decision." As you turn around and see that Ruha's mother is just in fear. She never shows signs of fear. She is just shocked as this strange gentleman has walked in. Sir Takeo, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I'm sorry, Wume. But your job is done. You've done all you can. We have the footing we need here. So I'm going to have to bid you all adieu. As she turns and looks at you, Ruha. Run! Run out of here! Now! As she goes ahead and kind of earth bends up, the entire tent flies open from the pillars of rocks that open it up as she tries her best to kind of push you aside as he begins to firebend and begins throwing fireballs as she puts up her arms and makes a shield blocking you and herself from the onslaught. Run now! What do you guys do?
I think just completely caught off guard. Rua is just going to he's going to try and get to his mother. I know she's telling him to run, but his instinct is to get to her and to get away from here.
Okay. Are you trying to grab your mother? So right now she kind of created a barrier around her and almost something blocking you, but you can still see her. As she does, she's being pummeled by firebending blasts that seem to be eating and melting away at it. Beads of sweat drip from her head. She's like, go! Do you try to pull her away, or how are you interacting with her?
I think what Rua might do is, again, with some of the earth that she's kind of pulled up, he's going to, again, with his kuwas, just pull at it and start flinging like rock and mud bullets just start pelting at this guy and any of the other Fire Nation soldiers that have come in with him. He's just going to start laying down. If they're trying to hit her with blasts, he's going to start chucking blasts at them.
Okay. So, it sounds like we are entering what is called an exchange, a combat exchange, which is not very difficult. Is anyone else joining in as Rua has stepped in and now is defending his mother from this firebending general or like leader of some type? To describe the scene, the entire tent has flown up and now you're just out and you can just see the entire encampment around you. There are buckets and barrels of water that are around that could be easily bent. There's air everywhere as you're breathing, and of course the earth beneath your feet to describe the things you have at your disposal. If you wish to attack or combat this gentleman, you can, and will enter a combat exchange. Or if not, and you're just trying to quickly go and run, then we won't need that, and this can just be a basic move exchange. The choice is yours.
I mean, Ruha has made a stand, and we are, made a stand against his mother. Why? We're not going to back down now. So in this moment, Jugo sort of crouches down and then leaps towards Saffron and jumps on the back of my peacock panther and sort of gallops in a defensive position around my friends as I ride on the back of my beast.
Okay.
I'll try and leap towards Saffron and then get in a defensive position.
All right. So, and Chaha.
Seeing that both of my friends are doing this, I will also refuse to leave and take a stand as well.
Okay, so you stand firm, getting in front as he stops firebending and seeing you standing there, he goes, well, seems like we have interlopers. No matter. Flaring up his hand. I'll deal with you first. And we'll start a quick exchange. The way combat exchange works is that it's round by round basis. It can end at the end of the round, or we can just continue. Now, there is no initiative. It's more of a rock, paper, scissors type of thing. You don't know what they're going to choose, but all three of you can discuss. So now that we have the scenario, the setting, as well as the overall things you have at your disposal.
And it
Let's
crashed.
now choose your approach. How are you approaching this
That's not
fight?
good.
Now, you can approach it several different ways. You
Are
can
we still alive?
defend and maneuver.
I don't know. I was just going to check
in
to
a
see.
sense. Or you can advance and attack, which are doing certain attacks. Or you can evade and observe. From
Hello,
there, you
people.
can
Are we
do a
still live?
certain amount of actions or moves
I'm gonna-
per round, and you have to roll to see how many you get. NPCs get a flat amount depending on what kind of NPC they are. So that is called the stance move.
So weird.
Think of it as
yeah, I
rolling
can still
initiative.
hear it.
And
There's
from
the
there, we
delay,
just
but
play
I
it
can
out.
still hear
Everything
it.
happens at the same time, so you just
After
play
Omar
it
crashed.
out.
I think Omar doesn't
and so
realize
we'll just
he's
go
not
through
in
that.
Ninja.
And if you wish to know exactly what the things
my God,
you
I
can
think
do,
he-
if you go ahead and look
Yeah, I
in
think he
your
crashed out and
abilities
didn't
section, I have it all tapped out underneath the C for combat. All the things you can do. Advanced attack has pressure, smash, and strike.
Kinda get it.
The defense and maneuver has ready and retaliate and seize a position. And finally, evade and observe has bolster or hinder, commit or test. You also have your own
Yeah, but since he's
combat,
still
your
like
own
broadcasting live from
own things that
OBS,
you can do.
we
According
can
to
hear him. We
your
just can't
own
see him.
character, your own playbook.
Right? Oh my goodness.
So let's start off. So as you
Hold
all
on,
square
players,
off
while
and
we
pretend
fix this
to and
technical
seem to be
difficulty.
going against
This
this
is so
Fire
funny.
Nation general, let's all decide
Not
how you
funny,
are going
but-
to approach this battle. So let's start off with Rua. How are you approaching this battle?
It is going to get to a point where if he hasn't seen any messages, that he will just kind of wonder why everybody is just like staring at him and not saying
and
anything.
not saying anything.
Now we're there.
I know. No. I think we might have now. I don't know if we're offline or if it's just frozen. Oh no, we're still online. Never mind.
Yeah,
Sorry,
we're-
folks.
We're live.
We're still live, folks. Okay, so in this situation, let's just play it out without him.
I think we won. I think we saved my mom. We saved Swamp Forest, and we kicked the Fire Nation's ass.
We beat them. We won.
It's an incredibly fun system. Like I was a little. I've never done a Powered by the Apocalypse game before. Like I was saying earlier on. Yeah, it's so RP heavy. It's pretty cool.
I do.
Yeah.
I like it. The 2d6 with the just a few pluses or minuses is not too difficult to get now that we're playing it more, and I feel like that's interesting.
Yeah, it's the same with the conditions. The way they can alter those rolls for you very, very quickly, depending on what you're stacking or like what's stacked against you. The only thing I'm still trying to get my head around is the balance. That's the one thing that I'm still a little iffy on.
It's weird because it's like depending on where you are, sometimes they roll for you or against you. Like before, when you rolled that 9, I was like, oh yeah, high numbers, and it was actually like we wanted you to roll low numbers.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. So that was the only time where I was like confused.
Yeah.
I like the fatigue and conditions. That makes sense to me. And the way that they've set it up so that way you can easily role play. Like getting a condition, like when I was angry and I like lashed out at you, you then like get rid of your thing because you like vented your frustrations. So I think that that's like cool and makes sense.
Yeah.
I think like once we just get like more use, because I feel like the balance thing in particular is a avatar mechanic specifically, and I really like it a lot, and I like how it's different for each playbook too, like what your balance is. I just feel like I tried using things like the way I like worded stuff to affect my balance more, and I think we just need to get used to like how fluid our center is basically, and whether or not there should be like more player agency to change it, or whether it should be like more of like this spoken mechanic that is like tracked by the GM more than anything. Because I feel like, I was doing all of my bad habits all at once. Um, I was doing a lot of vandalism or sabotage. I was doing lots of trespassing, and I feel like with the whole damn thing, it was a bunch of daredevil stunts. And I was doing it like all with my friends. So I feel like my friendship balance would be like a lot higher because I'm like marking off all these different things.
Right. Well, I think that's part of the understanding for like what we should and shouldn't do. Because like before, that's part of like you being friends, but we're also vandalizing something, so that goes against my
Yeah. Goes against
never
your
steal or
balance.
cheat. So like how we adjudicate that, I feel like we were sort of doing that with the like, what was the call someone out or deny a call out, and that
Yeah.
sort of shifts people. I don't know how frequently that should be happening. You know what I mean?
I mean, I feel like it's probably like on a case by case basis because like the big thing about like PBTA stuff is like you do things in scenes. So like one scene would have been us talking to like those guards, and we would have like been able to probably do stuff with that. Another scene would have been like actually blowing up the dam, where like you have different things like that. And now like we have this third scene where we're talking to Rua's mother, and like that would be its own thing. So I feel like at each break of scene, everything kind of like resets, and it's like, oh, hey, I'm trying to do one of my bad habits again, or I'm trying to, what was that other thing? My quick reference, call somebody out. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's how that kind of plays out, just in like my very limited experience of PBTA games.
Because what's
your scenes?
Yours is friendship, and what's the other one?
Friendship and survival.
And survival. Okay, so I think that you're right. Like in this instance, all of us working together would sort of shift you more towards the friendship thing because that's how we sort of like wrote the fiction, as Omar would.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like that also, like for me, for my role and my freedom, I thought that it was originally going to be me trying to be more free, but saving this land is actually aligning more towards my actual role in the ability. So sometimes it just works out in a funny way like that.
Yeah. And then Declan, what are your two things for your balance?
Same as my mother's, tradition and progression, and I'm definitely
okay.
I think I'm skirting the line between the two. Like, it's that we should change doesn't mean we can't still be a powerful family with a big business, but we should look at alternatives that aren't encroaching. So I think, like, because I recognize that we are bastards, but you have to be in business.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened there. The computer said, I'm done living.
It's okay.
And decided to die out of nowhere. So sorry, everyone. That literally never happens.
We kind of decided in the combat exchange that
we won.
We won. I was doing a defensive maneuver, like kind of creating this air pressure bubble around us. And then, Rua was like pelting the bullet, mudslinging kind of thing going on. And Jogu just did some awesome
took out the Fire Lord.
Just took out the Fire Lord with
well, it's General, he's the Fire Lord.
With Saffron.
Sorry, General. Yeah, took out the General.
Okay. Do we want to go with that, or?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I trust you. We build the fiction together, so I will go with that. So after,
it's because we can. Do you want us to like dig into it a little bit? Because I feel like we were running close on time. We were sort of talking about the game and our characters and our experience while you were getting it back together. But we were running close on time, so I'm actually fine with running with that now.
Yeah. So we'll do a one full round event, and that's it. It will just be one round. So we'll say yes. So you go ahead and start defending Rua's mother, pelting earth, water, and air at it as the fire lord, God, you got me saying as the fire general kind of blocks and gets hit, and gets blasted. He then creates flames and torrents of fire that blast back and starts to hit you, getting all of you. As this is an advanced technique. This is a general master of the firebending styles, but you hold yourself steady and true and continue to attack as nobody else interferes as he goes, "No, we will do this Agni Kai style." As he goes ahead and continues fighting and letting you all do like a 3v1. Your mother finally backs away, fatigued and tired from her defending you. So it seems like this battle can go any which way, left or right. So let's do one official round to see how it turns out. And yeah, and then we will get to see what happens at the end of the scene. So first thing you need to do is start off with your stance. So to do that, you're going to want to... Oh, yeah. How do you approach? How do you do your final approach, we'll say? We'll start off with Jogu.
I would try and do... I would try and set up my allies. I know that, Zeki, you just said a minute ago you're doing a defensive thing, but... on Saffron, I have a special ability as an icon that says, hold on, where is it? Sorry, I'm pulling it up. And it's part of my Yip Yip ability as an icon with Saffron. It says, when you fight besides your animal companion, mark 1 fatigue to become favored in exchange. So when you look at the favored, it says you gain a additional technique that you've mastered for this encounter.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to use the standard fighting technique Wall of Perfection
Mm-hmm.
that I have, and as we see the incoming fireballs and the mud bullets that are pelted towards Overseer Maywu and our allies, it's hard for them to advance and fight this battle. So I'm going to quickly leap around them on Saffron's back. Their plumage feathers are going to sort of flare up and use the wind that was created to help solidify the water that I'm wrapping around and creating like a wall of ice. And I'm creating, like it says, Wall of Perfection, and create a perfect wall of defense around you and your allies for any next direct attack, and block any single attack that are towards it or hold an enemy at bay who tries to penetrate the wall. So giving Maywu a moment to focus and our allies to sort of regroup.
Okay, so is that a defend and maneuver, attack? It'll say it on the actual ability.
It is a defend and maneuver.
Got it. So you're defending and maneuvering. You may be able to do something else as well, depending. So you're defending and maneuvering. Chaha, what are you doing?
I am also defending and maneuvering. My form of defense is by removing the offense. So kind of as the fire general decides he's going to start blowing fire at all of us and wrap us up, I kind of shout out to the entire group, including Rua's mother, "Everyone hold your breath!" And I suck out all the air, removing the ability to use fire.
Okay. And that is, wait, is that an ability or which one of the abilities? So you can kind of ready, retaliate, or seize a position. Unless you have a specific ability. That's in your basic techniques. So if you wish to ready, you mark 1 fatigue to ready yourself or your environment, assigning or clearing a fictionally appropriate status. So you would clear a status from someone. Retaliate is that you steal yourself, which is probably what you're trying to do. And each time a foe inflicts fatigue or condition, or tries to shift your balance, you inflict a fatigue on that foe. So it's kind of like you get hit, they get hit. And then seize position is that you just position yourself in a better area.
So, Zeki, you're probably not defending maneuvering. You're probably attacking advancing.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're doing like a pressure
Which is
or a
a
strike.
yeah, striking is like you're full on attacking them and you wish to hit them hard. A pressure is like you intimidate or impress them, and your foe cannot choose a specific action to do that turn.
That sounds like what I'm doing then.
Yeah, okay. And you want to stop them from being able to attack you or strike you.
Correct. Yeah, I'm removing the oxygen that they would be required to use to make fire.
Perfect. And Ruha, what are you doing?
Ruha isn't going to let up on the assault, so he is going to advance and attack with a strike. And I'm even going to spend a fatigue to continue hammering them with blows. So it's just out of the earth. Like Ruha is just chucking large bricks at this stage that he's tearing out of the ground with his kuas to pelt the general as hard as he can.
Awesome. So it goes defend and maneuvers happen first. Then advance and attacks, and then evade and observe. He is going to advance and attack, so you don't know what he's going to do until the end. So he's going to choose to advance and attack. So let's see how many you all can do at least that one thing, but you may be able to do more. So can I have everyone roll me a stance? And the way that works is that you will choose an opponent. Each opponent. Each player rolls an appropriate stat based on what they choose. So if you were defending and maneuvering, you will roll with focus. If you were advanced attacking, you will roll with passion. And if you're evading observing, you will roll with creativity or harmony, your choice. Sorry, I'm a little flustered after our...
It's okay.
Ugh, 6.
Okay, with a 6, you can shift your balance away from its center, your choice, to use one basic technique. Like your
he will. I think he'll do that. I think I'll shift towards progress.
Okay, got it. You're really going into your ideals. Your passion behind wanting to be progress and away from tradition is fueling your attack. So Jogu, you have an 8, so that is a success. So you could choose to you can use a basic or a mastered technique, which it sounds like you were doing just that master technique is that you were saying that like advanced technique. Got it. And then that's it since you only got an 8. And
That's fine.
Chaha got an 11, so Chaha can choose to do any one of these. Use a learned technique, which is by marking a fatigue. If you have a learned technique, which is like your basic techniques. Use one practice technique, which you don't really have at this moment. Or you can use 2 different basic techniques or 2 different master techniques. So your master technique is the air scooter in this case. But since you are you're evading, what was it? Your move that you were doing?
I'm actually doing an attack.
Oh yeah, you are doing an attack. Okay, yes.
Well, it's like it's the other part of the attack. It's like
Yeah. Okay, so you can do that.
I'm doing an advance.
Got it. You can choose to do another one, or you can choose to do actually 2 basics or 2 masters. So you can. It has to be different. So I'll allow you to do a basic because just for flow to make it flow. So you can also do a normal attack if you wanted to. Do that and then punch the hell out of him or however you flavor it.
I guess I just throw some air to try to knock him on his butt.
Okay, awesome. So we will start off with those who are defending and maneuvering. Which in this case is just Jogu. So Jogu, you step forward as you bring this. Actually, how? Please, no, you did describe. Yes. So you step forward, bringing up this water and creating this kind of shield as his flames pick up and he's getting ready to attack. any blast that comes from the hand gets captured by your warders, extinguishing them, and he's just doing an onslaught of punches at you.
I'll give you guys an opening as I lunge forward, and using the momentum and awe from Saffron's feathers, I move with him and bend the water to create this perfect wall of foggy swamp water protection that will hold him at bay as you prepare for your attacks.
Okay. He will use kind of like an advanced technique now that we are going into the attack. He's going to go a little bit before you because your abilities are augmenting his. As he goes around, he drops to the ground to dodge any of the water that's coming in and starts to do like a breakdance 360, creating tendrils of flames around to burn at your feet to get you off of balance. As he do so, though, Chaha, this is when your ability takes in and you suck the air out of his blast as he goes, no, no, as he's trying to blast you, so you don't take any fatigue from his damage. As Ruha, now you step forward and begin pummeling him with earth-bending strikes, striking him on the ground, one after another, rocks flying up as you push past, or you dig into your tradition of progress, or say your principle of progress, knowing that this is what has been causing your mother the angst. This is what has been causing an imbalance in the world, this Fire Nation, as you're able to knock him back, and he kind of flies back, oof, 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 and lands and rolls on the ground. He gets up. This Agnikai is over. Guards, get them, dead or alive. As all the earthbending, the earthbenders kind of stand there like, whoa, what? Like looking confused as the firebenders kind of drop any pretense. And you see a giant banner where the Earth Kingdom banner was, like someone burn it. And in its place, the Fire Nation symbol appear as Lady Wume goes, we run. Yeah. Earthbending guards, defend us. We must flee now. Come, Rua. You two, we have to regroup. Everyone, defend us! And she kind of goes and beckons you to run with her, as like all of you are well outnumbered by the Fire Nation that are here.
Follow her lead to try and leave.
Yeah,
same.
I'm getting the hell out of here.
I absolutely try and have the people she's called to aid us to block us, open a path for us to get out.
All right, and it's their duty to do so. They want to go and fend, so they start battling. As you see Fire Nation and Earth Nation soldiers fighting, blasting each other, not knowing why. The Earth Nation soldiers are confused. They're like, why are you doing this? Ugh! They bring up pillars of rocks to block him, but the Fire Nation soldiers seem to be intent. It's like they knew this was to happen. They were planning this. As you kind of grab everyone on top of, not Sapphire,
Saffron.
Saffron, thank you. You grab everyone on top of Saffron, including Lady Wu Mei, and start riding off as the Fire Nation soldiers are attempting to attack, but you can easily use your bendings to block and keep them at bay as you continue to run out of the encampment. Some of the Earth Nation soldiers running back once they see that the leaders of this noble house have made it free, but the encampment has now been taken over by the Fire Nation. The flags now, whereas Earth Nation is now the Earth Kingdom is now the Fire Nation flags, and you can look up ahead, and almost like just coincidentally, a large balloon, a war balloon, floats above with the Fire Nation crest on top of it. And you look back one last time, knowing that the spark of war has ignited. And as it is now 6 o'clock, we will end our session there.
Ooh, good
Spicy
job.
ending.
Right. Dramatic. And then the Fire Nation attack.
And then the Fire Nation attack. That's you want to end of the Roku towards the 1,000. This is one of the many different skirmishes that sparks the war of the Fire Nation against the other three.
Them's the breaks.
So I very much hope that you enjoyed that. Apologize greatly for that 10-minute difficulty we had with my computer crash. I'm so sorry about that. But it was an amazing session. That is basically, in a nutshell, Avatar Legends by Magpie. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, ton of fun.
I think we're still learning it, but now I feel more confident in it. And we were talking about this a little bit before, Declan and I, and well, Zeki too, obviously. The 2d6 system is very nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's nice
Yeah.
and simple. You just do what it says and just build a narrative around it.
Yeah, I think it pulls in the role playing element really, really well, because you're not getting bogged down on like a whole list of stats and skills to go with it. That there's like there's like 4 that you're drawing on, like that creativity, harmony, and passion, and you're pulling on those. But ultimately, it's down to what your character is doing in that moment and collaboratively, like what you're all trying to tell. It's really interesting.
Awesome. But we will see. Maybe we'll one day or soon pick up on this. I love this system. Now we're comfortable, and then the story of the wars with this motley crew of 3 heroes trying to defend what was originally just the foggy swamp, now just are diving into the very war that we all know will come because the Fire Nation attacks. Only the Avatar, but the Avatar then dies, and then disappears. So, unfortunately,
Well, the fire,
Spoilers.
the Avatar is sent into an ice ball.
well, right now it's Roku who gets betrayed by the Fire Lord and gets killed in a volcanic explosion.
I mean, if we're at the end, we're like, this is like the comet. The comet is about to come.
Yes, so that's where Roku's at. So Aang is not even born yet, but he will be as soon as Roku dies. And then from that till Aang is 12, the Fire Nation is starting to attack. And then when Aang hits 12 is when they come and they're like, you need to go fight the Fire Lord. And he's like, I'm scared. Rolls off and then gets caught into a thing. And then for the next 80 years is the prequel to Avatar: Last Airbender.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome session. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out. Thank you for bearing with the technical difficulties. Why don't we just say our goodbyes and where we can catch everyone, starting off with our esteemed, amazing role-playing guests from across over in Ireland. Thank you for staying up so much late playing with us, Declan.
Not at all. Genuinely, I always have such a blast when I get to join you folks. Like really, because I don't get to be a player a lot, and I don't like playing a lot either. I much prefer being a DM, but I always like playing in your games, Omar. Like I think everybody that I get to play with, phenomenal role players. So it's always a treat for me to be asked to join ye. We eventually must actually, return that favor and have y'all join us. For something sometime, but yeah, I'm Declan. I was playing Rua, who clearly has mother issues, and I had an absolute blast. You can find me at the Dova Queen on Twitter. That's Queen with 2 3s instead of E's, and I am one of the founders of D8 Dungeon, a group of Irish tabletop role-playing gamers who stream and put out a podcast actually we've 3 streams going at the moment and a podcast going at the moment, so you can check those out if you give D8 Dungeon a follow on all our social media channels. So yeah, no, thank you so much for having me again, genuinely.
Oh, it's been
Blast.
a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming. And yeah, please follow them. Amazing roleplay. I was able to catch the other day your guest DM one.
Random DM.
Random DM, yes. That was fun.
Yeah.
I thought it was very entertaining. So awesome job. And yeah, totally would love to do more collabs with you and also have you back on here to maybe finish this story as we dive into it. And next up, we have our very own Zektown. Zektown, where can we find you and all the stuff that you do?
You can find me in various places on the tubes between here on A Tale of D20s, where we usually have our Sunday campaign, or my Wednesday show Storyboard, or the Monday show with Travis. There's plenty of opportunities here on A Tale of D20s to find me, as well as I'm a co-founder here and also on Amateurish Productions, where I am on. I think we have just maybe one major campaign going on right now, and then there's some like random stuff that we do, some one shots and stuff like that. That's pretty much it, other than the Natural Ones podcast, where you can also hear me pretend to dungeon master a bunch of clown murder hobos. They're my favorites. So, yeah, that's it. That's where you can find me.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, our very own, the person who keeps us on track, keeps everything, the wheels turning, and the amazing runner of Radiant Citadel, aka Travis, aka Zendaric. Where can we find you?
Oh, thank you so much. You can find me on Twitter at OMG It's Travi. And this was before I decided to stick to branding across the board. So you can find me on Twitter there. On Twitch, I stream here, as they said before, Mondays. I am the DM for the Radiant Citadel, and we are currently doing a investigation mystery themed mini arc right now, and after that we will sort of continue in a semi-episodic manner. So Declan, if you ever have time and you want to jump in on one of our games, we'd love to have you, and likewise we'd love to return the favor, like you said, and join your games whenever we have that opportunity. Love this cross promotion, cross collaboration. It's so fantastic, and it's been such a pleasure.
And we get to play more games, so that's
Right.
also like the
Wins
big
all
win.
around. But yeah, you can find me here and on those places, and yeah, even tomorrow if you want to come hang out and watch us here on A Tale of D20s, you'll be seeing what happens next in the Radiant Citadel.
Awesome. Can't wait. So we have coming up next week, the Radiant Citadel. We might be playing or doing some world building stuff on Tuesday. I remember, Zeki, we were chatting. We're still in discussion. I'll post up our official, on Monday morning, our official schedule for the week. And then next Sunday, we're still on break from Descent to the Void, our normal Sunday stream. And it's Easter Sunday. But I think, I don't know, Trav and I might just be playing video games.
Yeah, we might be hanging out.
Yeah, hanging out.
Hang
Playing Baldur's Gate, I think. Because keep it in the D&D field. We might jump into some, oh, puppy.
My puppies leave me.
Oh.
My familiars are ready to wake up from their afternoon nap.
Oh, so cute.
They've been conjured.
They've been conjured, yes.
But yes, you can catch everything that we're going to do on our Twitter at AtaleD20s, also on our website, www.ataleD20s.com. I'm going to be updating it tonight to have all what we're going to be doing next. And yeah, thank you so much. This was awesome, amazing. Do we have anyone in mind that we would like to raid this evening? Or Declan, do you have anybody that you
Well, speaking of raiders, let's say, remember, thank Homebrew Shows for your follow. Thanks, Ty, for the raid of 14 earlier. Chaotic Veto, thank you so much for following us. Pathfinding Adventures, again, with the party of 11. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. With Fiona McConoverse followed. Sorry, I'm totally butchering that name. And Colonel Blog gave out a sub. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much.
Here, thank you. And hope you had a great time with us today.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for all the follow. We appreciate it. It goes such a long way, and we just love you guys for it so much. Yes, thank you so much, Travis, for reminding
us to do
that. But anybody have any suggestions who we like to raid as we close up for the evening?
I don't have anybody specifically.
Yeah, same.
Then why don't we RPG Clinic on this one there. They are also doing Avatar Legends. So let's go ahead and stream over to them because that makes sense. Yeah.
Send the love.
Yeah, let's keep the Avatar going.
Yeah, let's send the love. So let me go and learn how to do streaming correctly. Or not streaming, raiding correctly.
When one Avatar ceases, the next Avatar begins.
Oh, right.
Exactly. And the cycle continues. All right, so I click raid and then I paste. There we go. I did it. Yay. All right. So As always, from the first chapter to the last page, be kind to one another, spread love, and we will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Cue the outro.